With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Minutes of racing, and all we go is go 3 wide into the opening corner.
That was a very late dive. He managed to make it work. And he gets the green. We're underway. 3 races left.
Work, and the defending champion wins at Circuit Lebanon.
Today, we take a step into history, where today, for the first time in the history of the Precision Racing League, drivers zip around Willow Springs in California with the Truck Series here on RaceSpot. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Pritz. Alongside me is Derek Watson with Hugo Weiss producing as we welcome you to sunny California, to one of the oldest racetracks in all the United States. Today, we look to see which drivers can conquer the fastest road in the West, Derek, as these drivers get ready for what should be an interesting road course race and what should be, in turn, one of the most difficult races of all of 2024.
Yeah, you said walk into history, JP. I think it's taking a walk on the wild side. This is going to be a very crazy course. It's a new track to iRacing. It's new to a lot of drivers, and a vehicle that doesn't really enjoy road course racing. This is just one piece of this crazy, wild, eclectic schedule we have here in this truck series, and I think this is going to be a very interesting night when it's all said and done.
Take a look as some of the drivers zip around the racetrack in the midst of 10 minutes of qualifying. Here's the schedule. This is the 3rd race of the season. Keep in mind, just 9 races on the schedule. Now, keep in mind, part of the reason for this campaign is in regards to the fact that the official schedule starts up for many series starting round 7. In turn, the iRacing Championships just 9 rounds themselves in 2024 Season 1. So that explains that as we continue on with the legacy / throwback / fantasy portion of this schedule. Keep in mind, so far, at tracks like Kentucky and Rockingham, some drivers have meshed well with those circuits, others not so much. As we get ready to look towards the point standings, Marty Calvert has been the king of consistency out of those first 2 races. He in turn has a 1-point lead over Patrick Calgill. Then It's Stephen Kirby, who's been quick in qualifying. He started on the pole, mind you, at Kentucky. Miguel Fonseca ended up electing to take no tires at the Rock and learned quickly that mistake. Austin Hunter, Tanner Johnson, Lane Adams, Zach Panzarella, Mike Toomer Jr., and Ryan Latshaw, the top 10 coming into today in the team standings. And in turn, RBM Shake, well, they've been massively outperforming the bake part. They look to try and find a way to bake around the road course. Keep in mind, in the standings themselves, Phil Maher is keeping things close. Results of Calvert strong start. Also looking strong to start, Team DDI, as well as the Winnebago groups that are 4th, 5th, and 3rd, respectively. Adams Family Racing, also within the 100-point club. Keep in mind that iRacing is in regards to Fonseca, and in turn, Battle Bus Racing trying to catch up to Bake today as they battle around the racetrack. Let's look once more at the standings entering today's action. Today's action is brought to you in part by many partners, including Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount code on ASR products. Use the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, for the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Completely priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceSpotTV.com and get a 5% discount. Use the Precision 5 coupon code. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and bring realism to every game. Every new one, so truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments for your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And by Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Drivers currently in the final 2 minutes of qualifying here today. In turn, 23 entries on one of the newest tracks on the iRacing platform. Fastest times in the 120s. Keep in mind, some of the fastest times of the week, the reference times, in the 119s in the SOF race. No surprise he's got the top time. Fonseca up in front by 4/10 nearly over Andrew Sharp Derek. And he's one of the favorites because of the fact he's got a lot of road experience.
Yeah, Fonseca obviously a favorite here because of that road course experience. But, you know, when we talked to the drivers today, there was really two thoughts of patterns here, JP. Some were very confident and happy, and some were just kind of scared at what this might mean. Now, this is a different qualifying format tonight, by the way. You touch somewhere, it's ending. It's a 10-minute qualifying tonight that involves 4 laps around the track. So your best of 4 laps here. So a different qualifying format in the road courses.
Take a look at some of the onboards, including with Fonseca currently. We've seen his heart monitor so far the first 2 weeks. This track a little bit more difficult, to say the least. You touched upon it being very tricky tonight. Would you believe this originally was intended by Ken Miles and company to be a replica of Indianapolis Motor Speedway's oval? Yes, they wanted to build a rectangular oval on this mountain. And then they obviously realized that there were some space constraints, and in comes Willow Springs Raceway, which became a very well-used racetrack in the 50s and 60s. In fact, NASCAR had its Cup Series stop here a couple times in the 1950s itself, and is now a California point of historical interest. Today, we look to see which drivers take an interest in keeping it off the sand. Here's a look at your starting grid. Miguel Fonseca starts at the pole alongside Andrew Sharp. The difference, in turn, about 3/10. Stephen Kirby, Patrick Cowgill, Marty Calvert, the top 5. Zach Panzarella did not practice, but did get a 6th-place qualifying run. Brett Adams and Garrett Austin, Jake Mackey and Tanner Johnson, your top 10. Philip Beaver and Edward Peltz, one of the fan favorites, one of his best qualifying seasons in 12. Toomer Jr., Austin Hunter, Ryan Latshaw, and Jordan Miller next. Then Evan Williams and Blaine Adams in the top 18. The last driver to take time today, Stacy Hunter. The drivers who did not set times, Nicholas Hunter, Colton Easterday, Tom Imasi, and John Mankowski are the drivers who are not in the qualifying club. Keep in mind that several different drivers entered today with penalties. That included no qualifying for drivers like Hunter, Matthew Alicott, Antonio Bannister, and Imasi. Here's a look at the track temperature. It's blistering hot today in the SOF races. In fixed competition, in official racing, it was down to 87. Today for the race for PRL, it's 107, Derek. Very hot compared to the official races.
That's going to benefit nobody, right? Because the typical rule of racing is the hotter the track, the slicker the surface. Well, in a vehicle that doesn't like road courses and behaves very sketch to begin with, the last thing you need is less grip, right? So this will be a very interesting moment here. Of course, we're set to the 1st of April, 12:28 p.m. time. Now, you brought up the history of the track, JP. There's a lot of people who may know this track and go, hey, that looks familiar. There's a popular magazine out there that does a lot of photo shoots with cars, newer cars and prototypes on this track. So you may recognize parts of this track, not from racing, but for some really awesome photography.
And you could also recognize this racetrack recently in movies such as Ford vs. Ferrari, or how about a throwback? Have you ever heard of The Love Bug? Yes, the 1969 movie for Herbie, the car.
I mean, the question is, and I know what you mean, but which Herbie? The 60s produced multiple Herbie the Love Bug movies.
The 60s one.
No, there's multiples in the 60s. There was a whole, like, franchise of movies in the 60s. It wasn't just one. But, yeah, it's a great movie. It's about a car that sort of has a mind of its own. We're not referencing the 2004 Lindsay Lohan version. That was awful. Yeah. Let's not talk about it. But no, in the 60s, there were multiple Herbie the Love Bug movies.
Well, to answer your question, it was the first one.
Okay.
The first one in 1969. But keep in mind the racetrack today, expect to be tricky. Your keys to victory here as we get ready to start.
Oh, my goodness. Patience has got to be the key to victory. One of the most difficult parts of this NASCAR truck is that if you step on the gas pedal too hard at a road course, it's just going to loop around on you. Now, whether it be at Willow Springs or other road courses we visit, that's a pretty common thing. Most sport that happens at a lot, even the Glen sometimes. So being patient, not slamming that gas pedal, being patient, kind of drifting through the corners. And so that match with this, keep it on the track. This will be a race of attrition. It's sort of ironic I say that, JP, because of what's happening this weekend. But patience and attrition at a road course, survive both of those, you'll be fine.
We talked about Fonseca being the favorite here today. Who else do you think can challenge him on the road course? Keep in mind, Andrew Sharp technically has the higher I rating, in fact, the highest in the field. Mostly everybody else has beginner level I ratings, or in two drivers' cases, rookie licenses for a road course.
Yeah, it's a real wild card as to who could or do. I think there'll be a couple of surprising names here. As far as who I think will challenge Fonseca, I'm probably going to say Jake Maki. I think he and I talked a little bit earlier. He seemed fairly confident what he was doing. So I'm going to go a little bit of dark horse and take the driver in P9, the 13 truck of Jake Maki.
Can that driver find the way to the front at a racetrack known and seen this week to being very difficult to pass at? We're about to find out. Already, Fonseca's received the word to go on green flag from race control. So he will go once Barney waves that respective flag here today for the run to Castro Corner. We're glad to have you with us. It's the third round of the season for the PRL's Truck Series here on RaceSpot. Coming from Willow Springs in beautiful California. Willow Springs, California, and Kern County. The 1953 owned racetrack and operated since then circuit ready to go. Fonseca starts on the left side, Sharp on the right side. A long wait for the green flag. There it goes. We're underway from Willow Springs. Fonseca with a clean start. It's already 3 wide in the heart of the pack. Oh, wow. Stephen Kirby backs it up. Cowgill forced outside into the opening corner. For the most part, everybody makes it through. Outside of one moment for Latshaw, everyone's good. And now Latshaw's turned by Easterday.
Yeah, big spin there back in the grass. You saw it briefly in the back of the camera. There it is. Already, back on track. More like a rally truck right there than a NASCAR truck with the way he's driving it. But no cautions, most likely at a PRL road course. Admins have told us unless there would be a complete track blockage, they will not put a yellow out. So the 36 will have to make that up by hand here at Willow Springs.
As usual, 40 minutes up on the clock here today, and that, of course, means a different context. That's about 30 laps today, so expect today to be one filled with a lot of aggression, but also some strategy here. Take a look at Panzarella. He's amongst those holding on to the top 6, and already with that way the start played out, we're already seeing small packs. He's essentially in pack 3.
Yeah, we'll see who does well here as far as their management of this race. Those packs will probably move forwards and backwards all day long, depending upon tire management and tire preservation. Maybe this third pack will be a little less aggressive, and they'll make their way forward as time goes on. And here's Adams family racing driver Brett Adams. And now we're back around to the front straight. That's a full lap here, JP. We're going to head up into Castro Corner for turn number 1.
About a minute and 20 seconds a lap for reference expected here today, based on the hot temperatures. Jordan Miller, amongst those trying to hold on towards the back of the grouping, he's already amongst those trying to make some carvings. He's lost 3 spots in the opening lap alone. And keep in mind, there's a lot of intriguing corner names here, but in turn, there's a lot of tough sections. Take, for example, the one at the top of the hill. This is the Budweiser balcony. It's so easy to just think, hit the throttle, let's go downhill, we're fine. Then you go approach Monroe Ridge and you're off the racetrack towards those billboards of the chain link fence.
And the real challenge to this track, JP, is almost not even the corners, it's all the elevation. Look at all the up and down in this road course. Here's a big downhill right here. This will take us through Wings Lake into the sweeper. But let's watch that first lap here again. Yep, just got turned, and oh man. Really kept it moving, though. That's the right thing to do in any kind of car in real life or in sim, is just keep it moving. That's Mike Toomer, by the way, off the track. But yeah, so you'll see here as we come, the field comes back around here to Castro Corner. Look at all the elevation here. Well, that's Toomer again, just got off track, and yeah.
We've already had a driver get a black flag. Blaine Adams has had to come to the pit road. This is a racetrack where it's actually pretty easy to pick up corner cut penalties, for one, because there's not a lot of walls between some of the corners. You cut the track or speed off the pit lane, it could be some trouble today. Also, there are a lot of in-circuit obstacles, actually, where they're not drive-through. Take, for example, those power barriers, the hills, obviously, but also even the porta potties. You hit those, it's like driving into a brick wall.
Yeah, sometimes that's the difference between sim and real life and those small things. But to go back and explain what JP said a moment ago, if you cut a corner that you maybe just kind of jump it or go around it or whatever, and the iRacing thinks you've gained a time advantage, iRacing will either make you slow down and give the time back, or if it deems that maybe you just got too much of an advantage, there can be a black flag for that. And there can also be a black flag if you don't slow down like the software says. So that's probably what happened in that case for that black flag there. Mm-hmm. But this will be a long night. I can't imagine being in this car for 40 minutes with all the uphill, downhill, lefts, rights, you know, the gas and brake. These guys are going to be exhausted. Here's Austin Hunter here, part of Waterback Hunters. And this is the battle back for like 13th right here, JP. Oh, there's a car off track.
That's Easter Day, who goes off at the back of the grouping. He was running as high as 16 to start the lap, drops back to 18. But for Hunter, he's in a hard battle because he's trying to keep up with Josh Menkowski. Here's the thing about Menkowski. He started this race 23rd. That's dead last. He's the first driver I think I've seen slice and dice that efficiently. In less than 3.5 laps, he's already passed half the field.
Well, I guess we know who the ringer is, don't we? We know who loves their road courses and maybe who has circled this date on the calendar and been excited for what's coming here. Look at him here, just managing the corners well, riding it comfortably, being patient, and we got a wreck back there just off the camera. Yep. But yeah, no, this is a great run by Menkowski here.
You're referencing, if you heard, some skidding in the backdrop, Edward Peltz, who is a fan favorite. So that's broken up this pack in half. Philip Beaver has also just gone off, so you see on the pylon. Here's a look. So this is Edward Peltz.
Ooh,
and contact the 23.
Yep, so 23 just tried to get inside that corner. I don't think that pass was ever going to work, to be honest with you. And then here's Philip Beaver. This one's going to be by himself. Just got on that gas a little hard. I told you about that, JP. In these corners, if you really, honestly, at most points in the track, if you're more than half throttle on this truck, you're in danger of losing the back end.
Oh, and look out, somebody just went stage right. That was Jordan Miller, who just went off into the grass behind the battle with Nicholas Hunter here. And now he's trying to hold off Brett Adams. So far, the bumper's coming out a couple times. And talking with a couple drivers after the SOF race just this past Monday in the Fixed Series for reference, sometimes drivers, in fact, the best way drivers had was to dive. For Miller, well, at least he didn't hit the billboard, so there's that.
He got it gathered pretty quickly and got it back on tracks, and, you know, a little bit of time lost, but nothing else there. You're right, that's a pretty good save, all things considered. And you're right, for a track like this, the most important thing is seat time. And a couple of the drivers I talked to today said they've been practicing, you know, for all week and had done a couple officials. There's a couple of drivers who said they bought the track today. So I think that experience will play itself out in the leaderboards when we see how this race ends.
And in turn, the raw pace possibly could be a big part of this. As we see how Nicholas Hunter tries to break away, he's currently 12. Believe he's in the camp of never confident, if I understand Derek.
Yeah, that's what he told me, right? He said he's never confident about a road course, and he's stoked there's only, he's stoked there's only one on the schedule. Remember, the past couple seasons, I felt like there's been so many road courses across both trucks and Grand National, but he said he's stoked there's only one. So Nicholas Hunter had a horrible week last week, by the way. You and I both commented. There was no one, I think, who didn't hit Nicholas Hunter at some point in that race.
Yeah, we mentioned it to him afterwards and basically talked about it where at least it was a bit of a rough one, I think was basically the point he made after that race. Oh, wow, up at the front, the top two have ran away by more than 3 seconds. This is Sharp keeping up with Fonseca. Right now, he's gained about a 10th this lap, making the way to the sweeper. Here's the difference right now seen already. The 413 amongst those who prefer to use the top coming through turn 9. Those are two separate corners where it's so deceptional, it seems, Derek, that you think, oh, it's one straight corner. I've made a straight line. You gas it up, you miss turn 9.
Yeah, that's the real challenge of any road course, right, is not getting overhyped about, you know, getting a perfect corner. There's always another one coming. We'll give you a brief update, by the way, JP. Brett Adams being shown a lap down on the ticker, had some hardware problems and had to reboot. So he is effectively a 1 lap or more down as of this point.
So in turn, still keep an eye on the front. So if you're in the case of some of these groupings, we'll see how this goes. There is the 23 you're talking about. And already having to shuffle a fair bit back. Believe he's still in the 14th spot technically on the racetrack, but has been under attack a couple times over here, including trying to attack Austin Hunter.
Yeah, I say he's a lap down. He's not. I don't know where I got that from. I had a wrong name, but
well,
no,
I think you're talking about Blaine.
Yeah, Blaine Adams is where I got the. But Brett's the one who said hardware problems, but and he messaged me and said I have hardware problems, but apparently he doesn't because he's doing pretty well here. So he must have solved whatever it was on the warm-up lap. Now, if I'm in one of these packs, which was going to be your question a second ago, at a road course, I'm not confident. I'm in that Nicholas Hunter, never confident about a road course kind of person. So I'm happy to follow someone else and follow their lines. But I'm nervous to have someone follow me, not because of, mostly because I think my lines are horrible, and I'm scared someone's going to run me over.
I mean, I'll be honest, the worst thing about the road courses is the feeling you don't have brakes because stock cars and stock trucks don't necessarily have brakes made to go into hard right-handers, to say the very least. I mean, there's a different viewpoint you can also say in response to saying you feel like you have no brakes. In the words of Casey Kerwin, and the 3 times in Top Split before saying I have no brakes, just send it.
Yeah, Casey's really known for that, right? You know, the interesting thing is we're watching a great battle here, by the way. This is a battle on screen here. This is the 24, that blue truck, really giving it all over. So really, Andrew Sharp is all over the back end of our leader here. So, and of course, Fonseca, led after week 1. As you said, made a call at Rockingham with the no tires and really suffered from it. I think P5 in points to start tonight. And right now is looking to get a lot of points. He took the pole. He's leading. He's led a lap. He's really looking for the hat trick here tonight in PRL.
Can Sharp find a way around is the question. Not quite yet. Looks to be saving, if anything, right now. So keeping things extremely patient.
Oh, no. There's Mankowski, who'd been doing great tonight and had made up a bunch of spots. At one point was up as high as P11. And then lost the truck there. I think he just dipped a tire down in the dirt just a little bit, Justin, from what that camera looked like, and got that car loose and around. You know, the interesting thing about NASCAR and road courses and how these drivers feel about it a lot of times, and this is my theory and I want to run it by you. I believe that a lot of quote-unquote oval drivers hate road courses because the cars in NASCAR are not built for road courses. So the experience in driving one of them is not always great. It's often quite difficult and challenging. If you were to go take a GT3 car or an LMP2 or even something slower like an MX-5 that's a proper road course car, I think a lot of drivers would enjoy road course racing more if that was their first experience and not a NASCAR truck.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races the rest of the way, too.
Ooh, look
We're
at that.
already seeing as the pass made by Nicholas Hunter there and Evan Williams for 10th spot. Oh, someone spun in the backdrop, though. That's Austin Hunter we've seen in a smoke plume. All while side by side, that takes Brett Adams around Evan Williams, too, as his dropping continues. After starting 17th, Williams got to 8th and has plummeted. Austin Hunter, he's lucky he didn't plummet to the pit lane because watch the next group.
I'll tell you what.
It was just after that he nearly got hit by the 60 in company.
Oh my. I think what happened there for Austin Hunter, you saw the car kind of slide behind him and see all the smoke. I think he realized he probably got in the corner too hot or too fast and stabbed the brakes there, Justin. And that's probably what brought that truck around for Austin all by himself. But this is an amazing battle for first place right here. Austin Sharp is all over this here. So obviously Fonseca is not the only road course king here tonight. I think Fonseca is just going to keep the pressure and hope that Fonseca wiggles somewhere and gives up some space.
So, as you mentioned, the space there. Here's the major thing that comes up possibly here is, and part of why there's the potential of saving coming in. In a lot of the races, there's the talk of don't pit in terms of the officials. Here's the thing. This could be a very tough pit entry because you see that racetrack in the backdrop. You see that cone. That's what, 100 feet? Maybe 200?
Right.
It's going to be very easy to cook that entry and miss the pit lane today.
I think there'll be a lot of drivers, though, who, halfway or more will want new tires. Here's an onboard with Fonseca. There's that heart rate monitor you mentioned. JP, that's an amazing heart rate. There's no way. If I was in this NASCAR truck at Willow Springs and my heart rate would only be 115, I'd be panicked and upset and frustrated. So good for him for having that low of a heart rate here. Watch him making beautiful turns here, by the way, and really hitting some apexes, riding the inside of the corners when appropriate. Obviously, Fonseca knows what he's doing.
And, well, it's definitely not a GT3, as his text says today. And so far, he's been taking this track well. About near 2 seconds of fall off so far, on par with what we see during the averages. So, at the moment, still holding on. These two have ran away by 5 seconds nearly. In fact, 6 over Patrick Calgill, Marty Calvert, about 10 seconds back. And we're still not even at halfway so far. For reference, we've turned about 10, 11 laps in this race, and they're reaching lap traffic already, which leads to the question, how do you feel about lap traffic here?
Oh, I think you have to be super nervous when a car is lap traffic at a road course. Your first instinct is to think, well, they must be a slower vehicle. And a lot of times, lap traffic wants to help you by letting you by, and it makes the race more sketchy than it needs to be. You came back to that whole thing about would I pit or would a driver pit? In my opinion, depending on when you catch lap traffic, it might be safer to pit. There's Austin Hunter, by the way. That's the different spin. Oh, and that time he did get rear-ended, Justin.
So Austin Hunter not having the funnest of times all of a sudden. There is no meatball flag, at least in the 27, despite the several close calls and attempts otherwise, as we take a look at the leader. First up on the docket to lap, Mike Toomer Jr. He's one of the drivers with a rookie license on the road course, able to keep it easy. Now, for some of the other battles, it's not going to be as easy, possibly, because even running side by side for a corner, like a lot of other circuits, can lose you time. How about more than a second, though, if you run side by side in Sector 1?
Yeah, a lot of time can be lost if you're running side by side in Sector 1 here. So they're going to get to the to their right side, get around this truck, do it safely. So far, lap traffic has cooperated very well and just sort of let them by and let them move on. So that's nice to see for Fonseca. By the way, I will tell you that truck in third place, you mentioned Patrick Cowgill all those seconds back. He's one of those drivers who bought the track today and put in about an hour or two of practice before the track began, or before the race began, pardon me. So I think you can clearly see the difference. Well, this is Austin Hunter again, gets it spun around. And here it comes to hit. No, this is a different one, JP. That's the third time, I'm pretty sure, that same corner that he's been around.
Yeah. I remember I mentioned this, and I think he's parked it. And I think he's ran to the booth. Hello, Austin Hunter. How is your adventure going?
Well, I'm gonna park it for the night. I'm a danger to everybody else out there, and I don't want to kill anybody else more than I already have tonight.
What's made this racetrack so difficult tonight?
User error. Honestly, it feels like anytime I put more practice in, the worse I get. Just driving over my head, and really just don't want to kill anybody else's night tonight.
Thank you very much for your time. Go ahead, Derek.
Sorry, Justin. What was with you in that one corner? I think it was three different laps we saw you spinning that same little corkscrew or chicane right there. What's going on? Are you in that corner just having a disagreement?
Yes, honestly, that's the same corner that killed me in practice. Just carrying too much speed. There's a big right to left switch there. And that's a really important section to kind of leads onto a long straightaway. There's another corner after it, but it's a flat out corner in these trucks. So it's really important to get on the throttle early there and carry a lot of speed through the next couple corners. And it just does not like that section, and the truck never really settles down. And once the tires got hot once, it just never settled down for me again, and it was kind of game over from there.
All right, well, I'm guessing you're happy we're going back to an oval next week.
Absolutely. Although Myrtle Beach is my least favorite track, even more than this, so much so that I'm not 100% I'm even going to make it next week, as I travel the next morning for a national curling competition, but I'm going to give it my shot.
All right, well, hopefully we'll see you next week. Good luck.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Once again, Austin Hunter, thank him for taking the time to speak with us real quickly as lap traffic in front of the race leaders. Blaine Adams nearly getting close with Andrew Sharp along with Fonseca. So the battle bus machine keeping things a little bit tight. Still keeping within 5 truck lengths despite the traffic. And so we now have our first DNF in Austin Hunter, Derek.
Yeah, and you know what? In a way, I admire Austin for that, because he knew he was, as he put himself a danger to others, and decided that best thing he could do was just not be a danger to others. I admire that in more ways than I can probably put into words. There's a lot of road course drivers who will stick it out for the points, and it's such a dangerous thing if you don't know how to drive a road course, because you can really affect a front runner's race by doing that. So I admire Austin for what he did. It's always hard to see someone back out, but when they're doing it for the right reasons, it helps a little bit.
Narrow poke for Sharp, meanwhile. Trying to use a bit of a diamond line through the Budweiser balcony. Not able to make that work yet. Still within 1 truck length. Sharp looking a little bit better in the end of this run, nearly at the halfway mark.
The problem,
to Wayne's leg. Go ahead.
Sorry, the problem though is, yes, he is faster. I'm not debating it. The problem though is making a pass here. Look at this onboard we've been doing for a lap or so now, and ask yourself, where would I make that pass? Where would I dive at, or where would I go outside, or where would I do this? And it's hard to find one here. I mean, this is probably one of the widest corners right here. This is the sweeper they're coming out of, and now we're headed back into turn 1. Making that pass here without making contact is quite difficult.
One of the prime opportunities left really on the racetrack is that run to Castro corner. But again, even then, as talked about in SOF competition, and some of the officials have to use the door by turn 2. So now these two run away. Philip Beaver, meanwhile, he found Evan Williams and then looped it.
Yep, Pies got a little too eager there on the gas, wanting to get up to Evan Williams, and found himself off the side of the track here.
Would you say
Now,
an eager Beaver?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Look at that lapped car, by the way, getting out of the way. Sort of a dangerous way to do it, but I admire the move regardless. So the question you brought up, JP, is in my head about pit stops. I want to think both these drivers would pit. I'd be hard pressed to think you're gonna go 40 minutes here. I don't know. With no cautions, it does bring that into question. If one of them does it, the other definitely will. But I would think the way Sharp's can get around here is by performing like an undercut and making up the time on pit road if they do pit.
Trying an arrow peak. Now he's trying the diamond line. Just missing the curbing. This is his best run coming out of turn 9 today. Zeka already moving to the right side of the racetrack. Does Sharp think about a poke? He's backed out a few times. He doesn't want to commit to the send.
No, he doesn't want to commit to the send. This looks like he doesn't want to commit to anything that would bring suspicion or question about how he makes the pass. And unfortunately, at this track, it's going to be hard to pass if you're not willing to commit to that and maybe make Fonseca back out of fear. We'll see what happens here. We're already more than halfway through this race, Justin.
And it's so far, the top two have pulled away by about 7 seconds. Calgio, Kirby, and Calvert, your top 5 for reference. Sharp still the sharpest out of Sector 2 at the rate things are going. Fonseca's hit a lot of curbing, and off the racetrack, John Mankowski, after being up in the top 10.
Yeah, again, he's back there, and that means he's going to go a lap down at this point for someone who did so well before. Watch this here on the screen. Oh, wow, that car just went off to the right there, and wow.
It's all come apart for the 93 truck after starting so well on the fresher tires. But all that's wow. The leaders still stay lined up. Sharp's a little bit closer. Can he find a way to send it inside? This time he's trying to line it up. And this time yet again tries to clutch a bit. Breaks a little bit early. Still keeps the save going. It almost feels like he's trying to pressurize the mistake, if not try and pressurize the send. He thought about another one. If anything, trying to force the Fort 13 to use their stuff. Trying to hold him up.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what looks like is happening here, is that Sharp is more willing to sit back and let Fonseca make a mistake, or try to pressure him into making a mistake. Maybe think he's going to, tap him on the rear end, or maybe think he's going to dive, hoping Fonseca will make a line or a move that's not natural. Now, we'll see if that strategy continues as these 16 minutes count down on the clock here. But that does look... Now, here's a whole nother grouping of lapped cars. This could be different here. If I'm Sharp, Justin, this is my eye-opening moment, because I think I could use one of these cars as sort of a moving pick or a moving chicane to get the lead.
That's if they reach him at the perfect spot with the way things are going. Sharp's been trying this diamond line. It's been working well on corner exit. Is this the time it works perfect? Nearly, but lap traffic stays on the outside. Fonseca hits the back of Jordan Miller. Sharp backs out of it, and still no damage, luckily for the Fort 13.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the question now, would be what damage, if any, he picked up, and will he pick up any kind of maybe speed hindrance at all that will hurt him in the long run? And Sharp almost side by side through this corner here.
And Jordan Miller looks like he tried to move out the way slightly, at least later. That was going to be difficult with that corner exit in the first place, but also difficult when you're already committed outside. Next is Edward Pouts, by the way.
Yeah, very difficult. Edward Pouts here is now the car in front of the leaders. And I think he's going to try to get out of the way as fast as possible. He'll stick to the inside, let the leaders go. This is the Budweiser balcony Justin talked about earlier. They'll now come down through turn 5. And then this up here in turn 6 is the Monroe Bridge. Then we'll have a very shallow turn 7. This is the wings.
Oh, here we go. A little bit of a mistake for the 413. Had to check up. And for the race lead, Andrew Sharp able to drive by after the left side tires go off in the sand trap.
Nice job there. Now down through the sweeper. And yep, that pass is complete. Now the question will be, what can Fonseca do? Can he make a move to get back up there? Oh man, he's pushing super hard. Look at that. Went way wide on that corner. That's not going to help. That's only going to slow him down by being off track here. So for the first time tonight, someone other than Miguel Fonseca, leads this race.
And so now it's the question, does Andrew Sharp hold on for another 14 or about 13 and a half, should say now, minutes? Because this is the true test. Is the pace going to hold up? Or better yet, has the saving worked out for the 24 truck?
Yeah, that will be the question. I think it probably has. I mean, both these drivers right now, they're in no danger of being caught by third place. Patrick Cowgill is now over 8 seconds back. Both these drivers can just kind of fight each other or lay it back a little bit and be conservative here. Other than each other, there's nothing to be concerned about for the rest of this race unless something drastic were to happen here. But man, Fonseca is now doing the opposite of what he was doing happening earlier. Now Fonseca's the one pressuring the move.
Trying to narrow a small lunge to close up a bit with some of the draft effect. But Sharp continues to show what he found out of the final corner. Looks like Fonseca's now trying the same move, not as effective it looks like. Had to back out of the gas out of the corner.
Riding on board now with Fonseca. Watch him here, Justin. Listen to that lifting, by the way. Let's see when he gets back on the gas.
You see him playing around, and also that heart rate.
It's up a little bit, not too much though.
It's actually very solid in terms of his pedal movement. Better than Sharp this time. He nearly hit him.
Yeah, Sharp got a little loose there and a little sideways out of that corner, and Fonseca had to be careful not to give the old bump and run and make it happen. Now look at Sharp though, hitting the curbs, getting a little nervous here.
They do have Philip Beaver next in line to lap, 14th place for reference. That's going to make things a little bit tight coming through the next sector. So remember, this is the section that Sharp took the lead before. Looks like Beaver's going to move this time. And it looks like it's based on Sharp's command this time. Fonseca having to take the corner an extra bit wide because Beaver was coming out of the grass.
Yeah, he really was. This is a great camera shot, by the way. You know, you asked me about keys to victory earlier before the race began, and I said throttle control. How little Fonseca is on the gas pedal here around this road course is sort of amazing. You can just hear when the engine's on and off. Let's listen for a second. The discipline it takes to not want to jump back on that pedal and catch Sharp by thinking you can go faster is a difficult discipline that not everyone can grasp and understand, Justin.
So coming up to 10 minutes to go, the estimate right now showing about 8 laps to get around. So far, no signal that anybody wants to try and attempt a pit stop here on this 2.5-mile circuit. It's one of the closest battles of the racetrack. By the way, also closing up Kirby and Calvert in the midst of some of the lap traffic. You also have a lap traffic battle in Mankowski and Miller among some of the battles to think about for the later stages here. Speaking of that said traffic, these two are about to reach a bit more of it in the next little bit. This is a calm period for now for Sharp to stretch out. But what's going through your mind right now if you're Andrew Sharp? With 10 minutes to go, You have a truck that's looked very solid, but Fonseca is still keeping up, even though you've been able to find better ways around at times throughout this run.
And what's going through my mind right now is probably, if I'm Sharp, I'm a little excited, I'm a little eager, I'm a little antsy. I know for certain those 9 minutes and 40 seconds cannot tick off fast enough if you are the leader. So he needs to kind of keep those emotions in check and relax here and run his pace. He does not need to let Fonseca dictate the pace here. Sharp dictates the pace and makes Fonseca race it. If Sharp starts to try to race too hard or match the pace of Fonseca, that's when he'll mess up and make a mistake here.
He is starting to stretch out his legs a bit now with clean space to work around the circuit. Keep in mind, Andrew Sharp, per the logs for PRL, kept track of by Joey Tebbin. No wins to the track record of Andrew Sharp, which I found surprising because he's been in contention for wins before on the roadside, especially in what comes to GR86s that come to mind he's done well in. It's a surprise with how he's done in the road course races where he's been in top 5 or 10 before that he hasn't broken through technically in the PRL victory lane, per se.
Well, tonight looks to be his best opportunity so far. By the way, shouldn't say Andrew does have a helper in the box tonight. Matthew Olaka is up in the pit box or crew chief box with Andrew, talking to him, keeping him calm, letting him know what's going on. So Andrew did enlist some help to keep him calm tonight.
More lap traffic, by the way, this time following a lap down is Latshaw. Good recovery, we'll say, for the 36 after being spun earlier to be able to at least get to the mid-pack.
Yeah, that's sometimes the most important thing. Listen, something I think you and I talked about last week, but needs to be talked about again. With this new 9-week official format for PRL, there's no drop week. There's nothing to hide. There's nowhere to hide, I should say. So even on a road course where you think you're meh, or maybe you think you're worse than meh, you need to come out here and race and get the points and finish in the spots and see who you can outlast, because you know you need every point possible here in a PRL. So that's why you'll see some drivers come out and still finish mid-pack who had a horrible start, because they know they need those points.
About 5 laps to go expected this time around based on the estimate. Andrew Sharp now up by the largest lead of the race, more than the second and a half. Here's the battle we talked about for 4th. Kirby has slowly but surely been keeping things well done after passing Calvert around the midway point. Calvert wants to come back, though, and they have to work their way next around Edward Peltz, who for a while has been trying to hold off the 05. So the battle of 2 different groupings converging with both of them off the racetrack for the battle for the top 5.
Yeah, this is a great battle right here that we're seeing, a multi-car battle here on this road course this far in. And when I talked to Calvert earlier, Calvert said his only goal tonight, Justin, was to keep it on the track, and he was convinced if he could keep it on the track all night long, he could finish top 5. Well, right now, he's just about there.
He is there right now, in fact, in 5th by at least 10 seconds. You have to keep it on the circuit, though, to be able to get there. So, that battle separated out with the traffic. Edward Peltz is, by the way, close again with Massey, should say. And, in fact, ascending it in the backdrop, the 05 is, as a result of that slow-up. That's how big the traffic is, even in terms of the battles themselves, if you're a lap truck to let by a competitor tonight.
Yeah, it's always hard to let someone by. And, of course, the thing about road course racing, you and I both know, is oftentimes the leaders don't want you to let them by. They want you to run your line. Be predictable, run the line you're supposed to run, and let the leader get around you. A lot of times when you try to let someone by, you end up making it worse because they don't know you're going to do that. And then both you now are going to the right or going to the left or cutting a corner, because, you know, that be predictable is the best thing you can do as a lap car. Here's Ryan Latshaw, by the way, back with RJ Motorsports, back here in P13. A little bit of a battle right here.
So Latshaw able to reel back in Williams. It's almost been like a yo-yo effect, if anything, for the 6. One moment he's running top 10, next he's outside the top 15, then he's back into the trek for the top 10, then he's sliding back around to 12th. Williams' tires, and more so Williams' truck, doesn't seem to want to know where to go. Well, it just decided to go in the grass.
Probably that's a sign of what the perfect timing by you, JP. That's probably a sign of, after 35 minutes of road course racing here at this course, it's a sign those tires are worn out. And the way the truck behaved 35 minutes ago in lap 1 is not how the truck wants to behave on old tires. This is Jake Maki, by the way, someone I thought would do well tonight, given the confidence he had back in P8 here. In this nice little battle right there is some cars around him. That's the 13 car is Maki, but doing a great job here. He's got the 53 of Tanner Johnson behind him. He's got Garrett Austin in the 34 ahead of him. So doing a great job here.
Garrett Austin, mind you, the gold octopus trying to run away after making the move on Mackey. Then Tanner Johnson, he's been trying to scrap around this grouping all day. The 53 truck has been almost attached to Brett Adams and Jake Mackey throughout this one. With under 4 minutes to go, Johnson locks it up and loses it all.
There it is. You saw him slam on the brakes, and when the tires pulled, they pulled to one direction. Just took him off the track. To Tanner Johnson out of the equation now. That'll put, I think, Brett Adams up there behind Jake Maki. Jake, the Philmar driver here, and the Chevrolet NASCAR truck vehicle. So, yeah, overall, doing a pretty good job here managing these corners, JP.
It's one of those with endurance racing experience, believe you touched upon in his conversation with them.
Yeah, in fact, Jake is doing the special event, so I guess we can talk about this weekend's the iRacing Daytona 24 Hours. So Jake and his teammates will be doing, he said, the 24 in every other endurance race. Jake is part of Big Fast Racing. So good luck to those guys in your 24-hour adventure this weekend.
Off the racetrack, by the way, Brett Adams missing the braking mark again. And for a few of these drivers, a lot of them are lucky not to get to the incident infraction limit. 24 was that limit for today for reference. With the way a lot of the off-tracks have been, I'm surprised no one's reached 24 as Evan Williams ends up losing a spot to Philip Beaver. Now Philip Beaver nearly crashes it in front of Patrick Cowgill. Williams sends it in the grass, 3 wide with the leaders to be able to make the pass back.
That is crazy. 3 wide of the road course was not something I had written down as a possibility tonight. Wow, what a moment right there. Now, I wanted to say the challenge, by the way, with that 24 incident points you talked about, and the danger of it, I should say, is that will DQ you from this race if you have 24 off tracks or 24 incident points, at which point you don't score last place points, Justin. You score a 0 for this race.
Side by side again. Williams, massive sending, near contact with the 60. Beaver, not happy, and spins it out in front of the battle for the top 5. Kirby and Calvert able to dodge. They're now bumper to bumper from that.
Well, I can tell you there were some words exchanged about that move right there. It was, there were some words that I can't repeat.
So in turn, under 2 minutes to go, expecting the white flag this time by. And it's getting a bit feisty in some of these groupings here. Andrew Sharp looking like they'll get an extra lap here. He beat the mark by about 4 seconds. And for some of these drivers, you're talking about 30 on the dot will be done by, it looks like here today. Can Calvert get to Kirby is the big question. They have Williams to deal with next, as Williams is all over the track. Same as that one truck in the backdrop, and Bill Bieber again. Here comes the send for Kirby on lap traffic.
Oh.
And there goes Williams again.
Williams off track there, just having a hard time managing right now with what's going on around him here. But Calvert and Kirby here making a big run at this and trying their best here. Sorry, that's Calvert. Yeah, Calvert right in the back and trying here. Probably knows he's going to get one shot, one opportunity to make this happen. So, oh man, I thought right there was it. He almost like he was going to slam the back bumper and rattle his cage.
Getting very dicey, near bumper-to-bumper contact again at the top of the hillside. Expecting the white flag to display this time by Andrew Sharp and company coming out of the final sector. Still keeping an eye on Kirby and Calvert for the time being as they reach Patrick Cowgill. Here is Sharp. He takes the white flag this time by, with about 3 seconds left on the clock, should get the trigger.
Yeah,
That's well. They've reeled in Patrick Cowgill for third.
That's impressive. That's the thing I didn't think was going to happen, but it is right now live. This is now the battle for a podium position, JP. So this is going to be on the white flag lap as they come around here. Everyone's going to try to make a move. Man, look at Calvert in the back there. Really aggressive, almost in the dirt. Let's see who makes the dive bomb here.
Lots of time lost for Cowgill from the traffic in the past couple laps. Can Kirby find this time and the space to be able to get alongside the 31 and take away a podium spot? Both of them trying to find speed through Sector 1. It's still a 5-truck length difference between them and Cowgill.
Yeah, I feel like Cowgill may be safe here unless he messes up himself. It feels like we're back to the 2-truck battles. We come down here through the course here. We're going to go up into turn 3, up through the Budweiser balcony, about halfway through the course here. Now look at it. Now the gap is different. Now it's Kirby. Now it's Kirby over the back of Cowgill.
All that's well. Andrew Sharp has put on a clinic in this one. He's making his way through turn 9 for reference right now. The 24 took the time to save, wait, plot, plan, wait for the mistake from Fonseca. He gets that mistake. He gets the win. His first in the Truck Series in the PRL. And Battle Bus Racing gets to thank the bus driver from victory lane tonight.
There he goes with the victory slide. Stoked that he pulled it off, and great job right there for Andrew Sharp.
Oh, trouble for fourth. Kirby nearly spins it. Calvert makes it through to move up. Looks like Kirby tried to make a pass. He couldn't make the spot stick after making a mistake in the final corner trying to get to Cowgill. Got more battles on track. Brett Adams and company look to close it out at the tail end of the lead lap, 9th and 10th. Tanner Johnson didn't look like he'd get a top 10 after his mistakes. Guess what? He still gets one. In fact, he might get 9th. Brett Adams catching up to Mackey. Adams off the track now. All well. Tanner Johnson not able to make the pass to round out the top 10, Derek.
That's a great run by everybody. Overall, a pretty clean run. We saw some off tracks, but no big calamities, no big wrecks. So congrats to all the drivers who made that happen right there. A little close call post-race, but a great run by Andrew Sharp. I'm excited to talk to him and see what he thinks the key to success was.
Checker flag already waving on the circuit, and everything's locked in with Andrew Sharp. Have to come across the line first for Battle Bus Racing. He picks up the win by more than 3 seconds over Fonseca. Then it's Patrick Cowgill, Mallory Calvert, Stephen Kirby, the top 5. Pantarello, Austin, Mackey, Brett Adams, Tanner Johnson, your top 10. Rounding off the drivers in the lead lap today, Nicholas Hunter. He finished 11th after starting 20th. Brian Latshaw finished 1 lap down with Evan Williams. Tom Imasi ended up making contact as well. Slip on by. Phil Beaver just got turned by the 6 on the cooldown lap. Edward Peltz, Jordan Miller, John Mankowski, Easter Day, Stacy Hunter, the top 20. Toomer Jr., Blaine Adams, and Austin Hunter, your finishers of note. Blaine Adams and Austin Hunter both did not finish. 2 laps down and 20 laps down, it appears. Or should say at least Hunter. Blaine Adams, at minimum, finished the race on his side in the infield. No, Fonseca does pick up a bonus point for the fastest lap, but it's Andrew Sharp who picks up the win for the bus driver. Let's take a word with Andrew Sharp. Andrew, you and Battle Bus Racing have gone to victory lane in Willow Springs. How does it feel to be in Truck Series victory lane in the PRL?
Oh man, if I knew this was possible in trucks, I would have stopped doing road racing a long time ago. That was a really, really fun time. I'm glad to get my first PRL win. Feels like a long time coming, so it's a good night.
Was going to say, your first win comes on a road course. So that should answer the first question I think you just said to yourself. But the second question that I have for you is the battle with the 413. Talk us through the saving process and trying to pressurize the mistake all race.
Yeah, Miguel's a great driver. I knew it was going to be a good battle, so I just kind of wanted to stick behind him and see if I could pressure him a little bit to waste some tires. I think it ended up working out. I think he was struggling a little bit more than me towards the end, but I knew it also was going to be a traffic management, so I was kind of hoping he would clear the way for me, and that exactly how it planned out. There's one little gap, and it worked out beautifully.
One more question in regards to today and the series this season. Why the battle bus? Why honor the Fortnite battle bus?
We just really are big fans of the bus driver, so we like to thank him every chance that we get. It's been a long time coming. We're big Fortnite guys, so had to throw something special together for trucks.
Well, congratulations once again on the run today. It's your first in the PRL. Like you said, congratulations, Andrew.
Thanks for the broadcast. Have a great night, guys. It's been great.
That's Andrew Sharp coming away with the win today. He picks it up by more than 3 seconds over the next dropper in line. The 413 of Fonseca now joining. He's with Derek.
Miguel, what a great run tonight. You started on the pole, led some laps, and look, you were having fun out there. Tell me first off, what is it like driving a NASCAR truck around a road course?
It's horrible. Yeah, I don't recommend it, but yeah, it was a really hard race for me. I think it's the hardest race I've ever run here in the PRL. But yeah, it was fun, to say the least.
So it looks like maybe what got you tonight and what allowed Andrew to get around you was traffic management and lap traffic. Was that frustrating to have all those lap trucks around you?
Oh yeah, first of all, I want to apologize to Jordan for the tap there on the, I think it was lap 17, something like that. But yeah, traffic was, I mean, I didn't practice enough to be able to deal with traffic. So I was trying to open up to set up the overtake. But yeah, I opened up too much and beat the dirt there.
So we have this heart rate monitor on your screen. Now, what I'm impressed by is how calm you seem to be at all times. Like the highest we saw tonight at any one point was 120 BPM. What does it take to get you excited? Like, what do we got to do? Do we got to get like someone to come in and scream at you? Like, what does it take to get your heart rate really up and moving? That's what I want to know.
Yesterday it was up when I got hit from behind in the GT3. So yeah, everyone was crashing around me, and I was trying to avoid them, and so I think it's here 130, I think.
Oh.
But yeah, usually I try to stay really calm. So yeah, I guess unless someone like crash into me on purpose or something, I'm gonna stay calm.
All right. Well, listen, Miguel, great job tonight on the second place, and we'll see how that fares out in the points. Good job tonight.
Thanks a lot, guys. Good night.
All right. That is Miguel Fonseca, the driver of the 413 machine. Justin finished P2.
Third spot today, meanwhile, it was touch and go in the final laps, but Patrick Cowgill does hold on in the end. Patrick, what happened in those final laps? Because it looked chaotic from here.
I don't know. I was getting a little flustered with all the lap cars, and I just kind of forgot to downshift a second, and the truck didn't want to turn in that one corner and kind of went off track.
So in turn, how was, in your opinion, the racetrack tonight? Because you had a lot of battling at the end, but also pulled away from everyone until that traffic.
It was all right. It definitely didn't feel like it was getting super loose like it did in practice. I only had 2.5 hours of practice because I just bought the track this morning, so I was actually surprised I did as well as I did. But yeah, I kept making little tiny mistakes here and there, and I think that's really what kept me anywhere from being able to battle with the two guys up front.
So in turn, talking about what's up next, we head over back to the ovals, but it's Myrtle Beach up next. The track no longer exists in real life, but it still does in iRacing. How do you feel about that short track?
So the last time I raced at Myrtle Beach, I finished in 6th, and that was before they did the split, so that was with all of the really fast guys in the truck series. So I think I have a pretty good chance there. I've only raced the track once though, so I can't make any guarantees on that.
So on that note, congratulations to the top 3 here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Once again, that's Patrick Calgill rounding out your top 3 here today, and we just touched upon it. The next race for these drivers is going to be continuing the stretch of legacy tracks, old tracks from yesteryear, and whatnot. Myrtle Beach is next, apparently, on the docket, and to be expected, an interesting short track for these drivers when we get underway at 8:30 p.m. Eastern next week.
And the other stretch we're going to continue, JP, about that is if you thought passing was difficult tonight at Willow Springs, it is no easier to pass at Myrtle Beach, it feels like. So it'll be another week where there'll be a bunch of aggressive passing before we get up to week 5 at Michigan.
So once again, expect that on January the 24th. Be sure to tune in here on RaceSpot. Speaking of tuning in, don't change the dial because it's time to retune our cameras, retune the racetrack, and retune those motors. It's time to head from California to Georgia. It's the PRL's Grand National Series, and it's a throwback in time tonight to the legacy version of Hotlanta here on RaceSpot. Once again, to reset, Justin Pritz, Derek Watson with you, Hugo Ruiz producing as we get ready to go racing from the 1.54-mile circuit in Hampton, Georgia. And so far this season, in the 55-minute races, things have been interesting. A part of the legacy stretch for the Grand National Series. Michigan and Indy to start things off in the Midwest. We head down south here starting tonight before we head to Nashville next week. This stretch also expected to be fairly intense for drivers in the midst of tire saving, especially tonight.
Yeah, that'll be a big story tonight. Tire saving and tire management and handling of these cars will be big. Nashville's up next. Then 2 more, I guess, legacy tracks, Chicagoland and Rockingham, before the actual quote-unquote NASCAR schedule begins of Daytona, Atlanta. That'll be Super Speedway Atlanta, by the way, over in week 8, and then Vegas to round it out. But Justin, we just went from what felt like one of the slowest tracks on the schedule this PRL season to maybe one of the fastest tracks it's going to feel like on the schedule this season. I'm excited to be here live at Atlanta. This is going to be a much different race than what we just did for 40 minutes.
That's the understatement possibly of the day today. In turn, these drivers getting ready. Let's take a look at how things look in the standings in just a moment here. In fact, right now, because Richard Regan Jr. is the points leader so far. Strong races at both racetracks. 1 win at Michigan. Bradley Hawley next to the points, yet to get a win, but has been a contender in both races. Brandon Bowie picked up his first win of the PRL last time out. He's in 3rd. James Morgan and Matt Gagnon inside the top 5. They look to gain a lot of ground up on those top front runners. Colton Lane, despite having a lot of slides at Indy last week, 33 points apiece is enough for 6 with Steve Loving. Jim Westerfield, Ryan Dunkelberger, Dominique Begin amongst the top 10 in the points entering today. And the team outfits so far have been trending towards RBM. We talked about that in the truck so far with Shake and Bake. Their main grouping still at the top, with Richard Regan Jr. part of that grouping. However, their others have slipped back. We'll talk to that in a second. Whataback Racing Overdrive, Bowie Esports Alpha, Whataback Racing back row in the top 4. Their second team for RBM dropping to 5th after scoring just 53 points as a group. Bowie Esports Bravo in 6th. Once the air groupings, 6 Box Motorsports, Ain't No Whataback Girls had 2 of their 3 drivers crash. The development team for RBM, Double Rosa Esports, and 24/7 Motorsports is outside the frame, essentially, rounding out the grouping here coming into today. Qualifying for most coming to a close right now. 5 minutes qualifying as per usual. 2 laps to set the field for today. Of note from the penalty box, 1 driver not allowed to qualify to an outstanding penalty, Terry Radford from the first race. 3 others can't qualify, Gagnon, Andrew Phipps, Ted Lowendick, all with penalties entering today due to race infractions, as grand total about 5 or 6 carried over from the Brickyard. Your thoughts for today on what to expect from Hotlanta, Derek?
In a way, we're going to see the exact same thing we saw last race, JP. We're going to see a bunch of loose race cars where throttle management will still be a concern, not as big and maybe for a different reason than what we saw at Willow Springs. But those will still be 2 topics we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the track conditions. In fact, maybe we can look at them now and see how hot this track is. But it's going to be a hot track. It is going to be very slick as the day goes on. 108 degrees Fahrenheit is what I'm seeing the track temp as when I did a little look here. But I think the field is ready, Justin.
The field is indeed ready, and how about Daniel Knight? He starts on the pole tonight. Should be an interesting time for the 17. He's had some bump and runs so far. Dustin Scruggs has qualified up front each race. He's in second. Regan Jr. and Phipps start inside the top 4 today, with Brandon Bowie back in the 5th position. Bradley Hawley will start in 6th. Then next grouping, Nick Bayer, part of the development program for them for RBM in 7th. Doug Evans in 8th. Joey Tebbin, his best run of the season in qualifying in 9th. He's alongside Adam Zemke. Mark Kalin starts off next on the grid in 11th. Thomas Sink rounds out the top 12. Danny Cervantes starts 13th alongside Reese Bogue. He's coming off a bump and run day at the Brickyard. Steve Loving next. Nick Silver involved in the big one at Brickyard Racing in 16th. Nick McLaughlin in 17th. 2/10 off the pole is midfield today. James Morgan starts 18th. Jim Westerfield, Dominic Begin in 19th and 20th. Ryan Dunkelberger, one of the contenders in some of the races so far, deep in the field 21st alongside Paul Williams. Colton Lane struggled to qualifying. He was 6/10 off his practice pace alongside Jeff Evans. Then Matthew Smith was the last to set a time. No qualifying time set by Ted Lowendick, Matt Gagnon, Dalton Gayer, along with Joshua Telez and Terry Radford to round out 30 entries today from Atlanta. So as they get set to go here today, we get set to go racing. Who do you think runs up front and picks up the win over the course of 55 minutes here from Hotlanta in this one?
I mean, in some ways, the obvious answer by a lot of people's minds would be Richard Regan Jr., of course, because of how dominant he has been in Grand Nationals over time. Regan, though, told me he's barely practiced. His mindset is all about the Daytona 24 this weekend. I'm not sure he's going to win, but I am looking for a bounce-back race from RaceSpot's own Joey Tebbin.
And that's a bold pick possibly for Joey Tebbin here today. The track temperature, as talked about, similar to the last race, interestingly enough, is April 1st, 2024 in the sim here today. So as this midday race gets set to go here, your final thoughts before we get the engines fired up here today from Hotlanta.
This is going to be the calmest it's going to be on track, and probably the calmest the tempers are going to be for the next little less than an hour on this track, JP. Lots of beating, lots of banging, lots of hot tempers incoming.
Just about all set to go once again for the Grand National Series for the PRL here tonight from Atlanta Motor Speedway, iRacing's legacy version from the 2000s. Daniel Knight on the pole for the 8th time in his PRL career on Wednesday nights. He's in control of the field. Green flag is out. We're racing from Atlanta. And it's 3 wide already on the other side of the press box. Richard Regan Jr. wants the lead already. He's already up at the point.
Well, I told you he was an obvious choice. The talent and the expertise that he has makes him an obvious choice to lead this race. He went for it, though, right at the inside here. Now, side by side, and already being aggressive on lap 1.
Still side by side for the lead. Bowie trying to move to 3rd already. Daniel Knight does get the lead lap, though, to end lap 1 from the top line momentum. And Regan Jr. already showing his hand already. Now, keep in mind, the bottom line expect to be better for the tire saving, but with some of the oval refresh updates, the middle line is good for defending. Some drivers have noticed during the week, it looks like.
Yeah, that middle line can be good for defending, and sometimes that's what you got to do here, because the momentum will give you a run here. And sometimes the best thing you can do as a driver is cut off that momentum and keep them behind you. But I mean, even though the front two are single file, JP, it is a hornet's nest on behind him of action and beating and banging and people wanting to get to the front.
Speaking of drivers looking up top, Bradley Hawley, the first to go up to the wall, nearly got turned by his teammate Mark Kalin. Still side by side with Bayer. For the 3rd time this season, a different look for Hawley. This time it's black and purple and a bit pinkish.
Yeah, Bradley's really done a great job this season of having those different paint schemes out there on the cars and doing a great job there. Of course, you have Mark Kalin's in that battle. Had a chance to hang out with Mark Sunday night during the Cup broadcast and get some of his thoughts and analysis, and it was fun to hang out with Mark, so thank you for doing that. but they are right here in this little gaggle of cars, JP, and everyone's looking for a way to get around. Everyone's looking to see what lane they can pick or what draft they can get or what they can do to lead this grouping.
Kalen making it clear, not wanting to save tires here. Estimated to be more than 100 laps, interestingly enough, here tonight. A lot further than the officials. So expect the potential of one pit stop at minimum here today. A lot of pit stops if we get caution flags.
Yeah, a lot of pit stops because you're going to want tires here. They are valuable at a track like this. So you're right, that will happen. Probably almost if there are cautions, almost every caution you'll probably see someone thinking about coming down and getting tires due to have this old abrasive racetrack surface here. And look at this here. These drivers in the back just trying to get to the front. They know that time really is not as long as it seems. Yes, it is 52 minutes. There's Nick McLaughlin, by the way, back in that Ain't No What About Girls car. But these drivers know that there's not a lot of time, JP. If you want to get moving, you got to get moving. There's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide.
And keep in mind, they're using the iRacing fixed setup this week, as per usual. However, I can tell you this. You check up with this setup for anybody down the backstretch tonight, the car weight shifts immediately to the wall.
Yeah. There is this impact to this car, and the best way I can describe it, JP, and maybe you have a better word for it, it's almost like a pirate ship. It just kind of rocks back and forth uncontrollably under certain conditions. It'll just sort of wobble that way, and it feels like there's nothing you can do to stop it. So you have to be careful with how you apply the brake and the gas at certain times here, because once that car gets moving, it feels impossible to stop.
Kalen still committed to the top, just about scraped. In fact, he did hit the wall. Kalen does have some damage on the right front.
That's why Terry Radford calls him Bubble the Wall Sponge right there, because of moves like that. Mark is sort of known to find the wall at times and kind of scrub it. I think he's okay, though. No visible damage.
I do see visible damage. We can see it from here. It's on the right side, right front fender. That's going to hurt him aerodynamically as the race goes on. Because the more damage you get on the 1.5 miles, the worse it gets, even with the new damage model. We talked about the checkups. An easy place to get damage today, as Bayer goes for a send behind him, is going to be that back bumper. All it takes is not being able to check up. You lose a TV panel. Kalen was calm on that viewpoint. Bayer trying to hold off Bowie.
Yeah, doing a great job there and keeping it calm despite hitting the wall and despite maybe being frustrated. Here's Brandon Bowie, by the way. You talked about Brandon's success in the past, a well-known iRacer, and trying his hand at PRL, and now currently running back here in the top 8, hoping to make his way forward.
He has gone backwards, if anything, so far. Remember, we talked about him trying to save a bit so far in the 23. Next in line, Joey Tebbins still holding on. In fact, Tebbins showing good speed so far. Right now, 32.4s. That's in the ballpark to the leader's 32.3s.
Yeah, Tebin, this is his 3rd season, I believe, in the Grand National Series, and has really shown improvement season over season. Had a really rough start this year in the first 2 races, but has had some great runs here. So I'm proud of Joey Tebin and what he's done. And at times, there's no one more surprised about Joey Tebin than Joey Tebin.
I mean, it's Joey Tebin. I like to poke fun a lot because he's a co-worker, but still. He's done well here today. Speaking of drivers looking to do well, Doug Evans, he's slipping back a bit. Danny Cervantes, who's been a lot of different groupings in the past 5 years in the PRL. He's looking for a send up the inside still. 25 with RBM this season as touched upon. He's preferring the bottom. Doug Evans nearly clips the wall.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Danny, it seems like in the past couple of seasons, and he had it again last week, randomly when he's having good runs, he'll have some hardware failures or some technical problems, and he'll drop out of a race like he did last week. So I'm a fan of Danny. I think if Danny could get those gremlins worked out and could race consistently every week, he could be a threat to this series. But sometimes those technical gremlins just sort of keep him out of contention.
I mean, the way he's raced and passed the Cup Series has got attention. But up at the front, the attention goes tonight because he is sliding. Regan Jr. stuck to the bottom. Daniel Knight's preferred the middle line. And Knight is losing a lot of ground to the choo-choo train. Regan Jr., Dustin Scruggs, Andrew Phipps, Bradley Hawley all closing in.
Yeah, they're all coming here, and they're all doing the right thing by staying in line and trying to catch him. If you start passing each other, you'll only give Knight more of an advantage. But look at this line coming. Watch this again here as we come into the corner. Knight is not as comfortable in the car. Look at that line he's running. It's about a lane or half a lane up at some points in that corner. Oh, there's the wall, and that's going to cost him lead and maybe a wreck. Oh, my goodness. How did he save that?
Knight with some scrapes on the fender. He's now battling outside the riding shotgun machine. Knight trying to keep the preferred groove for the exit and able to hold on for now, but Regan Jr. is better on entry and apex.
Well, let me tell you, Richard Regan Jr. deserves a lot of credit right there because he could have easily have just ran over the back end of Daniel Knight when Knight was loose in front of him on the back straight, but Regan was patient and now is going to make the pass here out of 2 and take the race lead, I believe.
Not fully yet. He does have a teammate behind, but Knight backs it up, keeps to the quarter panel, at least on the spotter call, and Regan Jr. able to get the edge to take the lap lead at the stripe right here. 15 laps down, Regan Jr. takes the lead for the first time, and now gets it fully as Dustin Scruggs is next to attack.
And I'm not surprised to see Scruggs up here, by the way, Justin. When I talked to him earlier before the race, Justin just said to me simply, I miss old Atlanta. So based upon those comments, I was pretty sure he was going to have a fun time here tonight.
One of those working with RBM, but also with one of the setup groupings under under Jeff Baconi's brand. Battle holding on for second for the time being, able to back things up a bit. Knight able to hold serve. Of note, in that next pack, Kalen's been forced to run the bottom line because Bradley Hawley started to struggle a bit.
In fact, funny story here about Dustin Scruggs. You see him on screen, or you did. It wasn't until after he talked with me that Dustin realized we were racing Old Atlanta. Dustin thought we were racing Super Speedway Atlanta, and that's why he said, I miss Old Atlanta. I was like, oh, no, wrong track. And he got super excited and was very excited that I informed him of what track we were on.
Did you inform him that we go to both Atlantas?
I left that detail out. I thought he was riding a high. I didn't think I needed to burst that bubble in that moment. But speaking of bursting, oh my goodness, Mark, if that wasn't on the wall, JP, you could not have put like an index card there. If that wasn't on the wall, that's impressive.
Kalen able to hold off Joey Tebben with that top line. And keep in mind, that line he's taking right now is pretty particular for 3 and 4. There's a reason drivers say run a lane down to start the corner in 3. There's a massive bump at the top of turn 3 along the wall. You hit the bump, you're spinning.
Yeah, that's very true. But the reason why you don't want to be up there often, that's pretty abrasive up there besides that bump. That will probably kill your tires faster than running the middle or the bottom. But he's doing a great job of it. All credit to him up here running this top lane and really doing pretty well. As I said, keeping competitive with the field, not getting past super quickly. But now he's lowered that time in 3 and 4. He must be trying to avoid that bump you talked about.
Looking at fuel estimates across the field in terms of based on the amount of laps turned so far, pit stops expect to be around lap 60 in the race count. For reference, that will be in approximately 20 minutes, around 20 to 30 minutes to go here today. So when knowing that part of the equation here, how do you try and think about that strategy in turn, knowing how big the loss of time can be around the track the longer you stay out, but the earlier you go, the worse you'll feel at the end of the run?
Yeah, the problem with the whole math equation is that you have to account for the unknown, which is the potential of a yellow. And with how dicey it's getting back here in the track, it's unknown, but likely that will happen. But I'm always a driver. I'm a little OCD. I want to go right down the middle. If I know this is a 55-minute race, and if I think we're not going to yellow, I just want to break it in half. This way the car behaves the same way at the end of both runs. I'm not a fan of the whole pitting early, because then the car is hard to drive at the end. So I'm a break it in half kind of person.
It's going to depend possibly on the timing, but also who does that call. Mind you, we're already at almost 2 seconds of fall off in these first 22 laps complete this time by around the circuit. Do we try to make some inroads? Not able to make some inroads on Bradley Hawley quite yet. Andrew Phipps staying in front of him as well. And touching upon Hawley, still not able to break through in victory yet. The last time Bradley Hawley won in this time slot, in terms of his multi-winning career, most recently last season. The last time he hadn't won in this car, 2023 Season 2. Bowie, a little slidey.
Yeah, Bradley, I believe, is the winningest or one of the most winningest drivers in PRL history. So it seems inevitable at some point that he'll just rack up another one. We'll have to wait and see when that day comes, whether it be in this series or another one, that Bradley gets his next one. But look at Brandon Bowie here. There's been times in the past couple laps that car has wiggled. And JP, I always tell people, if we can see the car wiggle through the broadcast, it's wiggling way worse for the driver. If we can see it, it must be bad.
And it looks like he is massively drifting off the corner. A lot of drivers have started to lose those rear tires now. Ollie in turn going for the switchback. Gonna get the crossover and make the move. Back for now. No, Bowie able to keep it alongside. Keep in mind the pace dropped 0.3 this past lap alone for most of the field.
Now Bowie now is going to try to use this car in front of him here and try and see if he can create almost like a rolling pick or a rolling chicane to maybe get a small bit of gap here between himself and Bradley Hawley. This is Andrew Phipps here up ahead of him. And Phipps now is going to let that top lane open up, and I think Bowie's going to be side by side here, and he'll see if he can make a move.
And already Daniel Knight forced to play some lines here. He's lost second already to Scruggs. Bowie forced to lift off the throttle. Looks like his teammate giving a bit of a break on the inside line, and Phipps. So this pack of 9 drivers have pulled away from everybody else by more than a second and a half, by the way. So your top runners slipping and sliding around Atlanta, the tire wear, you can already see the marks with how Bowie and company have put on so much rubber sliding these tires.
I'll tell you, JP, with how these guys are sliding around, I don't know about you, but I am nervous whenever time these guys get side by side out of these corners, especially through the tri-oval. You know, I had a talk with Evan Pasoko earlier this week about how that tri-oval is not narrow, but man, it feels narrow for some reason. It feels like when you're trying to go side by side through the tri-oval, it feels like there's no space in there to go side by side when you're in the car. I don't know if it's just the angle of it. I don't know if it's because there's the lack of banking or what it is. But oh man, I almost got the back of someone there. Hello.
Looks like some contact there. Hawley apologizing for the contact to Daniel Knight. That cost Knight a fair bit of time, everybody a bit of time, and able to hold on as they go through the quad oval. Joey Devin looks like he wants to make some pass attempts. Again, he's inside of Mark Halen, all while Hawley and company offset 3 wide. Trouble behind. Joey Tebbins in the wall. Contact with Mark Halen.
Got it. Gathered up. And there's a big oops on the radio from Joey Tebbins. So he just knows that was on him, apparently. And, man, they're almost going to make contact again here. Good grief, guys. This is not the way to race Atlanta. And that's Mark Halen ahead of him. That is going to be Nick Byer behind him. And there's this all kinds of almost potential contact as Tebbin nearly cut his nose off.
One of EPI's drivers nearly making contact. Bayer having to lift out of it. Tebbin back to the battle. Keep in mind, the only incident apparently recorded to have incident points today, it's Terry Radford, who's the only one who's managed to pick up any incidents on the racetrack that have been more than a 0x today.
Well, it's always fun to pull that out. Terry Radford, another race spot commentator. So if we're going to make fun of a commentator, co-worker tonight, JP, Radford's having a harder night, still back deep in the field. Maybe we can find him later and focus on him. But right now, this is a nice little battle we're having right here. I'm impressed, JP, with how slick this track is, with how worn these tires are, with how far we into this run. I'm impressed that we're still green, I have to be honest with you.
And hearing from the Winterback camp, pretty straightforward. It'd be nice to have a caution right now. Well, it's nice to have a lot of things. Right now, this race, despite the slides, has not trended caution directions because if anyone was to do it, it'd be out of turn 2. You know who's doing things on the bottom out of 2, though? Bowie. He's the best in the long run right now. He's running near identical with Regan Jr. despite being side by side the past few laps.
And it almost looks like he's got that car calmed down a little bit from where it was, JP. It looks like as this run's going on, he sort of got it under him and knows how to handle it a little bit better. I mean, as you said before, Brandon's been on the service a long time, a former pro driver back before it was called the Coke Series, when it was under a different name. So he knows how to handle this car. He knows what he's doing. And now he's got these top two under attack here. Look at him making a pass on the inside.
He's tried this a few times, trying to use the short distance around. Scruggs able to use the line up top for defense yet again. So, obviously, it becomes the question mark. How do you make the pass when you know that it's been near impossible unless you peel the driver off the wall or they slip up top from burning the tires up to make the move on the bottom? And knowing you can't go higher than the wall.
Yeah, no, you can't go higher than the wall. I think what you have to do is just kind of be consistent and be adamant. This right here is probably the best shot he had at it because Scruggs didn't have that drafting help off of the corner like he normally does from Richard Regan. He won't get it that time, but that was as close as he's gotten so far. But that is apparent right now that if you can get somehow Regan and Scruggs not in line and not have that drafting help, then I think the bottom line becomes more powerful.
We have trouble on the back straightaway. Colton Lane has a meatball flag. He had contact in turn one, we're hearing, for the battle for 23rd with the 66. He is slow on the backstretch. We stay green for now, despite no front clip on Lane. Brandon Bowie, before that mark, slide jobs to second to take it from Scruggs.
Yeah, we've seen that move before, haven't we? We've seen Dale Jr. yell about it. Slide job. That's what just happened right there to Dustin Scruggs. Now Bowie has Regan in his sights. So we'll see how this goes and what happens here. Now we're just about the 36-minute mark. We are approaching the halfway mark, JP. We are approaching that point where I'm going to think for some drivers, the pit road is going to open up pretty quickly here.
Scruggs back to the bottom. Here's the issue that nearly brought out a caution. Lane, contact, bye-bye car.
Oh, man, that's a hard hit right there for Colton. You see a part of the car come flying off, and then Colton's going to wait until people get by and get down off the track. A very responsible thing. Props to Colton Lane for doing it correctly and staying out of the way.
And very lucky no one else hit him, but also very lucky that didn't bring out the caution with that broken axle. For the race lead, side-by-sides up front. You've seen the heart of the pack moment. They're very quickly in the thick of things. Same for Bowie. He nearly makes contact to the door on the slide job again.
So obviously now we know the strategy for Bowie is to try to make that slide job work and just get up under the door and do it slowly. But now look at this. Regan now has decided he's going to run the bottom. He's going to take the Brandon Bowie line to almost make this the opposite of the race. That was Bowie and Scruggs.
And trouble. Scruggs nearly snapped in the middle of the tri-oval. And through the quad oval as well. Pit road already for some in the back, but here's the thing. Reports coming in with that right rear tire issue we talked about with this car getting looser. We're getting cars nearly spinning it on the front stretch.
Well, and the difficulty is going to be if you're spinning it on the front straight, JP, getting down onto that pit road entry is not going to be easy from the speed you have. So you're going to have to get down there on speed safely and get down on pit road. The worst thing you can do is have a pit road mishap and give up all kinds of time. Here's James Morgan, top of Rossi Esports' very own. James Morgan almost got door slammed there. It's like a hockey move, Justin.
Well, it got very tight there, to say the least.
Oh, hello.
And Tebben nearly spins it off the corner. He holds on to it. So James Morgan able to move up to 8th. By the way, Terry Radford is the only driver to pit so far. He ended up electing to come down before even the 40-lap mark.
Yeah, Morgan was able to get around there simply because when Tebben got loose, he just gave up so much time here. But now look at this. Morgan, by the way, looks comfortable passing on the bottom. We are laps in here, almost 40 laps in, if not more. And Morgan seems calm, cool, and collected. Look at that. That is the opposite of, it looks like, every other car, Justin.
Especially the way things have shaped up here. Morgan trying the top line. Plays Kalen's card and makes it work efficiently. He's running 34 flats right now. That is in the ballpark of your main group, by the way. He's able to clear on by for 5th. Daniel Knight is slipping back to him as well. By the way, that battle for the race lead has calmed down a bit. Bayer, he's raising up the stakes. He wants to make a pass. Tebben again to the wall. Here comes the battle of the Highlander cars. Checkup effect as Bayer's in the wall. Off to the grass, nearly into the apron, goes Bogue, and there goes Dunkelberger in the wall. Caution flag is out.
Oh my, we saw that coming from like a straightaway away right there. And there's, I'm pretty sure that's the engine of Dunkelberger we just heard explode, but my goodness.
Cervantes, one of the Evans coming in hard, and the caution comes out with about 32 minutes to go.
Wow, well, that's definitely going to benefit your drivers like Regan and basically everybody, come to think of it, except for Taya Radford, who's pitted already, or waited to pit, I should say. Radford likely will get the free pass here and get himself on the lead lap unless he pits again. But wow, we saw that coming from like a lap away, or at least half a lap away, JP. You can't keep moving that car around like that and not eventually have some kind of wreck or calamity involved.
Pit road time, 5 drivers with mandatory repairs in this race. 4 from the incident. Dunkelberger, Bayer, Cervantes, Doug Evans. Reese Bogue has just parked it for the night as well. And a few black flags on pit road hearing as some of the drivers did not get sorted before the pit road commitment cone. So first pit stops of the race with under 60 estimated laps to go with this caution. Expect 4 tires and fuel to be the name of the game.
Yeah, there's no way anyone tries a 2-tire run here, I wouldn't think. And with how slick that track was, it's got to be 4 tires and fuel. We see a few drivers off in the back, and here's your lead up front.
No change. Regan Jr. and Bowie, Scruggs and Hawley, Knight. I think held off 3 wide with Morgan and Phipps. So the big one strikes at about lap 40. And remember how I talked about checking up can be even worse than just trying to dodge contact? I think that may have been part of that, to say the least, a part of the battle with the Highlander yellow cars.
Yeah, I'm loving to see if we can get the RaceSpot replay machine spooled up here and take a look at it, because that just looked like all kinds of chaos. And right here, this is after he gets loose in front of Tebben. And there it is. There's a car. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, Dunkelberger and Bayer. And this looks like a small incident. Then Bogue in the second one got turned. And just about everybody else thinks, okay, I'm missing it. Oh, wait, there's a 4 car.
There's a good car doing pirouettes in the grass. That's a nice move there. But yeah, unfortunately for Reese Bogue and others, just not a good ending. Reese is another driver who's having a very tough season this year and having a very tough run at it. But there you go. So now we're going to see how this race fares out. Richard Regan, of course, his teammate, not having a tough year. He is going to be right there in the lead here. Now, Brandon Bowie is currently ahead of him. Let's watch Danny Cervantes here. Oh, he does get hit. I thought he just went spinning. No, oh, no, he got hit twice. Never mind.
And that's what happens when there's a very little time to check up today. So
JP, I'm curious, as they're lining up here, the standings told me that Regan was leading.
Yes.
But if we can go back to the pace car.
I think you're looking at Paul Williams II, who's a wave around.
Oh, okay. Yes, I think I got my paint schemes confused. You are correct.
Yes. So, real quickly.
And it comes up.
Here's a look at Mick McLaughlin as he's going to talk to Joey Tebben. Let's talk to Nick McLaughlin because you're on camera. Talk us through the incident.
Oh, man. Honestly, I couldn't really see much. Just a bunch of smoke. So I got on the binders and I don't know, it cleared up for me. So we made it through cleanly.
So in turn, how is the car doing? You're in the mid-pack for the restart.
That first stint, I wore the heck out of my tires. So we're going to try and not do that again. Because that was not fun towards the end of it. I don't like to see cautions, but that one was timely.
Once you get back to the race, thank you very much, Nick.
Cheers.
Nick McLaughlin, take the time to speak with us. Let's get the counterpoint there because Joey Tebben is still on the racetrack in the top 10. Joey, what's the car like?
I had 18 seconds of optionals, so I'm okay. but I don't really know what happened there. Bayer got a little bit loose in front of me, and then Dunkel Richard went down to the apron, and then a bunch of people wrecked, and Reese died, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
Getting ready for the restart. They've already said it's on green. Let you get back to the race because,
I'm going
by the
now.
way,
I'm jumping the 8 cars in front of me, Justin. I'm getting disqualified, and I'm winning in a blaze of glory.
Okay, good luck with that. That's Joey Tebbin going to get himself black flagged. By the way, I hate to inform him now that he's now left. I was going to until he said that. There is a gap between the hood and the bumper. We're back underway. So a clean start. Bowie going to the top immediately. Dustin Scruggs not able to get the poke. Foley on the inside. 2x2 with under 50 estimated laps to go. The battle's on for third. Holly on the crossover. And for the lead, Bowie going for it.
Yeah, doing a great job here is Bowie. Now, with those new tires, he should be able to make that bottom lane work much more successfully than we saw 5 or so minutes ago. And I think this will be side by side here. And let's see.
That time by, Bowie did get the advantage at the stripe. The top 2 running away as Holly cleared for third. Still preferred line for the corner exit for Regan Jr. Bowie, the stronger of the 2 on the long run at Indy. Looking like he's strong on the short run to start. Regan Jr. tried to pinch down to the top.
Well, the problem with pinching down Brandon Bowie is that Brandon seems comfortable on the bottom. I don't know that you can pinch, unless you're going to pinch him below the line, Justin. I don't know that's really your best move here. Now, some people would ask, why is Brandon racing so hard here? Why is he pushing so hard? This is, in my mind, a sort of a cool experiment for Brandon Bowie to know if we get a late race restart, what could he do and how does he pass? And all he needs to know is that, hey, I pushed Richard Regan Jr. hard and I led at the line. That may be all he needs to do later.
Still side by side. Does Regan Jr. let him go? He's still trying to fully keep it side by side. Bowie just about clear. One send into the corner should just about do it. Regan Jr. falls back to second. And that was Bowie's fastest lap of the race coming through that run, by the way. In fact, his last lap was 2 1/1000ths just off of Regan Jr.'s fastest. Here's Regan Jr. with a crossover.
Nice move by Regan. Now it's going to give Bowie a taste of his own medicine. Going to get to the bottom and try to make it work. Regan's going to drift up a little bit, and Bowie's going to keep the lead here. I had just about started to ask you if you wondered if Regan just could have backed out to not waste all those tires, but nope. Regan is as aggressive as usual and wants that lead back.
And that's not a surprise. Clean air is king at Atlanta for a reason. And it looks like Regan Jr. going to have to try the tire save now. A little bit harder on corner entry. Of note, the second group has fallen back a fair bit on the racetrack because of their battle. About 1.6 seconds to the battle for the race lead. So Hawley, Phipps, and Scruggs have settled in Group 2. Regan Jr. trying to take the inside away. Bowie is leaving a lot of gap inside.
And that's dangerous, JP, because what will happen when you're a driver who leaves all that gap open on the inside is naturally the guy in second is going to want to get down in there and try to take that space, and eventually there won't be any space, and one of the two of you is going to get turned somehow because there's just no space left. You cannot leave the bottom open. I know it's not a super speedway, but you still can't leave the bottom that far open.
Looks like this time Bowie electing to move up a bit. Regan Jr. trying to move down a lot. And near contact, Bowie took the exit out of 2 a little bit more shallow.
All right, there we go. So now, for the first time in a while, there's a little bit of gap here between them, Justin. I keep wondering if he's ever going to calm down or if Regan's going to maybe sit back and conserve and have tires left at the end. But Regan is all over him.
It's getting chippy across the field. I was about to make the point of Regan Jr. nearly going for the bumper. A little bit deep to be able to get there. But Bowie able to hold strong. The chippiness is starting to build up around the top 10 of note. Thomas Sink, Nick Silver have nearly made some contact several times already this run. We talked about the battle for third, losing time. Phipps and Hawley started the run near contact. It's points paying time, and drivers like Regan Jr. and many more emphasizing it. Now they're bumping and running and pushing and bump drafting on the front stretch in Atlanta.
And it's old Atlanta, Justin. This is not super speedway Atlanta, but you're right. They are bump drafting. They're trying to build a gap here. They're not teammates that I know of, but right now they're trying to get ahead of Bradley Holly, Phipps, Scruggs, and others. And there was no bump there, but I mean, they're all over each other. This is the best thing they can do for themselves is build a lead and then race later. But you see, they just prefer different lines in the corners, but they'll line it back up here. And if we see a bump, it'll likely be on the back straight.
Brandon Bowie has just picked up his spotter, by the way, for these closing stages. Brandon 6 in the box in the midst of some of these side-by-sides right now. Now Bowie a little bit lower again on the front back straightaway. No grouping yet for Regan Jr. to be able to make a move. He's trying the top again. He nearly hit Bowie, who also won in middle.
Yeah, that's what's happening here as they keep moving around. Remember, we talked in the last race about being predictable. That's what helps you win races and helps, other people get around you safely. When you start moving around, you're not being predictable, and it becomes hard to adjust for that. But that gap right there is holding steady, almost 2 seconds back to third place.
Still lined up, coming to about a 2-second gap between them and the rest of the field. These two are trying to run, to say the very least. We're talking before the past couple laps, a tenth of a second quicker than everybody. They're making it clear they expect this to be the battle for the win.
Yeah, they want this to be the battle for the win, and then they'll fight each other later once they know they can do it safely without bringing anyone else into the battle. And the worst thing either one of these drivers right now could see would be a yellow. They're hoping for this to go green for the next 21 and a half minutes so that it can happen.
Here we go.
Passing on the outside, Justin.
Bowie left the inside. Again on the corner exit. Regan Jr. takes the top line and zips away again. Back and forth yet again. Bowie took that shallow line out of turn 2, and Regan Jr. made him pay this time.
And look at that. They did it in a way, or Regan did it in a way, I should say, that he did not let third place in. Had these guys battled for a lap or two side by side, then Holly, Phipps, and others would have closed that gap a little bit. But by making that one succinct move on the outside and making the passing, pulling it back down, there's still almost a 2-second gap back to third place.
It's still not over yet. Bowie, now that the side draft. You can get that to work if you play it right. That was to perfection from Bowie.
That's a great move. Shows the experience and the knowledge he has here, that he just made that pass happen correctly. Bowie, of course, has probably run this track thousands of times in iRacing across his career and having a great run here. Man, these guys right here, they are the masters of this track tonight. Remember, this, by the way, JP, is not a smooth track. It's abrasive down there. It's bumpy. It's rocky. It's hard to hold on to. And they're doing a great job of it.
20 minutes to go this time around. And leaders are starting to get reeled in. Now that we touched upon the fact they burned up a lot of their stuff here, Bowie is trying to run away. You know who is catching? Take a guess, and remember, he's the winningest driver in the PRL. It's the 184 who's closed up 3/4 tenths this past couple laps.
Yeah, and if you're a Regan or Bowie, that's not good news because Bradley Holly has a way to find his way around here and is doing it sort of by himself because they're racing behind him. That's Phipps and Scruggs behind him. And man, that was almost right there. A little bit of contact between the two. They're both running the high lane and both trying to find some speed here around this track.
They're looking to close up pretty quickly here. Keep in mind, their pace has picked up compared to the leaders by up to 0.2 a second from how intense things were up front. So it's not Bowie and Regan Jr.'s race at the very least yet with how that pace is shuffling. Of note, hearing Mark Halen amongst those in a heart of a pack situation nearly had trouble. The rest of the field has steadied it out on grip. Here's a look at that grouping where there's still 2x2, multiple cars thick of it.
Yeah, look at this here. You're right. This is all in the thick of it here. That bright pink car trying to find a way to slide into this battle here. That's Mark Kayla on the outside. He's trying to hold on there. But this is very thick. This is a very difficult form of racing right now for Jeff Evans. Jeff, by the way, told me tonight his goal tonight, Justin, is just to finish one of these darn races. He's had a tough couple of opening weeks here.
Front straightaway. Colton Lane, his slow car has just blown up. The 60 has blown up in turn 2.
That's a long way back around to pit road. I don't know what the admins are going to do about this. That's a long way back around. There's no way that car drifts all that way here.
You just may have seen it on the onboard there with the 51. The entire field, full throttle, just about plastered the 60.
And right now, what I think I would do if I knew this was a problem for Colton and I thought there was a chance that the yellow would come out, I would dip down pit road under green and just get the jump on that pit stop. But I think they're going to let the admins might be saying since it's under the line, if he can get it off safely, he might be okay here. But I was trying to say for Jeff Evans tonight, Justin, his goal, he told me, just to finish one of these darn races. He's had a couple of tough weeks, been involved in some wrecks that he doesn't feel he was really at fault for, and just wants to finish a race with all 4 tires and on the lead lap.
So that Hornet's Nest now settles back down a little bit. So Evans, amongst those, by the way, still in 14th. Last time by at the stripe, Adam Zepke, Ted Lowendick. Give him credit, has slowly made his way up in this run. He's gained a few spots as of late. He was with Nick McLaughlin a couple laps ago before making a charge. I'm very curious to see if anyone else is able to make a lot of headway here to close out this race.
Yeah, that'd be a great question to find out. Would you happen to say, Justin, that Lowendick being up in 12th would be BANANAS?
Oh, come on. And for reference, you're talking about the Bananas cars.
Oh,
I was
talking about the, Ain't No What About Girls, There's a song in here from early 2000s.
Wait, did they really say bananas in that song? I forget.
Yeah, I was going to sing it. You almost got me to sing. I was almost going to do it. You almost trapped me. I'm not doing that. BANANAS. Yes.
For reference, our spotter just sent a gif of Glenn Stefani looking at that spelling and shaking their head. Oh, battle for second is on. Up the field, because guess who has gone up the track? Bradley Hawley. He's to the inside line. He peels Regan Jr. off the bottom. And there goes the 184 to second. Regan Jr. starting to slide. Hawley's the fastest on the track by far.
Just barely got in front of Regan right there. Really close and tight pass there. Now Hawley's going to slide up and probably, most if he holds on the second here, he might. He's doing a great job of ripping it around the top of that track there and keeping it off the wall. Bradley Hawley, what a great run, by the way. Did a great job of conserving tires and conserving what he needed to. And has put himself up in the mix here with 15 laps to go.
Here's the look from Hawley. They are reaching traffic. Paul Williams the second, 2 laps down off the wave around. Bowie electing to try slide. He nearly spun it again. That slide to the quad oval nearly causing troubles. Hawley takes the top.
Yeah, as I said earlier, that quad oval to me is the most difficult part of this track, and it's because those little dog legs happen fast, and you really have to be ready for them, and you can slide it around and lose a car in there pretty easily. Hawley now is going to make the move here.
Inside for the lead. He's been running efficiently all run long. Bowie trying to defend topside. Hawley still trying to run the bottom, try and paint the lines. Not clear yet as Bowie regroups to the bottom. Lap traffic within 7 car lengths.
Now this will become the question, right? Who handles the lap traffic better? Oftentimes the lap traffic is meaner to the leader than they are the rest of the field, but that lap traffic got out of the way right there.
Here comes the trade back. Hawley. He sends it. He misses the bottom himself. Bowie holds on to the third line. Side by side, 14 minutes to go. Near door-to-door contact coming to lap 70.
If that were the last lap, it would have been Bowie. Bowie, once again, another close side-by-side lap battle. Earlier it was Regan. Now it's Hawley. He's holding on to that and doing a great job. And every time, look at that corner, how he just chops the nose of Hawley off, hoping to kill any kind of run or momentum that Hawley has.
How many breaks does he give is the question for this win. Hawley having to back up and try the middle to try and build the speed back up. Bowie has led 23 laps so far. Hawley still looking for his first of the race. Of note, Regan Jr. has dropped back to nearly a second behind the leader. Dustin Scruggs has also dropped off in pace. So it's down to these two yet again.
Maybe it shows you that Richard Regan really did burn up some equipment trying to get around Bowie when this run began here. 13 minutes on the clock is what we're facing here. So time is quickly fading for Bradley Hawley, Regan, Scruggs, and others to try to get around Bowie. But boy, Justin, for Brandon Bowie, that time cannot move fast enough.
Last time by, for reference, Regan Jr., 3/10 off these two. They now run topside. Hawley trying to get Bowie a little loose, get some air off the spoiler. Not able to peel him off the line. And Bowie trying to play a little bit of defensive driving with the way Hawley's trying to run up top.
I feel like these guys keep switching back and forth, like they both want to explore every lane and see what's possible where. Here's a side-by-side battle. This is Scruggs and Regan. These are teammates, I believe, battling for third and fourth.
So there was the question from the spotter side. Is there a chance of saving? Well, if Scruggs is passing by at this point, that answers part of that. However, with the question marks here, you know who's up here? Quietly in the midst of this 7th spot, Nick Silver. So a chance for him to have one of his best runs. While the leader's still scrapping out up front. There's Silver. He's looking for 6 on 9.
Yeah, doing a great job trying to get around here. And maybe we'll make the pass in the corner. We've seen this bottom lane be successful at times. And looks like maybe Nick Silver took some notes here. Way to the bottom. Look at all that gap between them here. Let's see how Silver gets off the corner.
Nope.
Probably needs to get out of that corner a little faster and to sort of open that wheel up, JP. He'll find more speed out of that corner if he does it. But when you hold the bottom that long, you kind of kill that run.
I find it intriguing how he runs Dale Jr. throwbacks on a Ford. Some would say that's blasphemy.
So some would say that's blasphemy. Yes, it definitely would. Yeah, some people would have a big problem with that. But he's doing a great job here. I said, sort of put himself up in the mix quietly. I mean, heck, even right behind him, it's Ted Lowendick's up to 8th. We just sort of had made that joke and he was back.
Oh, trouble, turn 2. Thomas Sink spinning into the wall. He collects one of the Evans. We stay green. That's on the back straightaway, and you see the shuffling on the pylon.
That's going to be Jeff Evans, who said his goal tonight was to finish one of these darn races. Well, unfortunately for Jeff, that's become a little bit more difficult.
And Thomas Sink, the veteran with the meatball flag. And that's likely going to be the race done for one of the top racers in this slot just a few years ago. Looking back up front. 1/10 the difference between Hawley and Bowie. Here's the replay. That's after Tebben got bumped and ran into the wall.
Yeah, a little bump and run there and then brought Sink wobbling and then, maybe he didn't hit Jeff Evans. I thought he did at first, but maybe Evans barely scraped by there, Justin.
There was a slide at least, I can tell you that. Still, Hawley, he's trying anything possible to get a run with under 10 minutes to go. Estimated 17 to go at the stripe this time by. And it looks like near contact to the wall for Scruggs in the backdrop, as Scruggs is coming as well.
You know, I know this is not a super speedway, and I know that's a point we're going to make a couple times because of how the track is configured today. I almost wonder, JP, if Hawley's best move is to back it up a little bit and pick up Scruggs and let them two come up here and race Bowie 2-on-1.
Looking to Hawley from the bumper of Bowie. He's looking, he's peeking. Bowie lets him send it inside. He's been defending up top much of this run. Hawley trying to wrap the bottom, gets loose. The Bowie Esports machine clears again. Under 9 minutes to go on the clock as they start lap 79. Dustin Scruggs is closing a touch every time they go side by side.
Man, it just looks like no matter where Bowie puts that car right now, he is comfortable as can be. He's as cool as a cucumber, as calm as a whatever you could think of in that analogy. He just seems to be happy to put that car wherever it belongs in. Man, I think Bradley Hawley might be ready to use the old chrome horn to send a message here.
Is he willing to do that, though? We haven't seen that be Holly's nature. The comments from the radio, he's keeping cool as the other side of a pillow.
There's an old
Never
Stewart
mind,
shot.
he just hit the wall. Here comes Scruggs for second.
Scruggs going to back off a little bit. I think he got a little nervous about where Bradley Holly was going. And now we'll fall back in line here. But this will open up that gap here and make Brandon Bowie feel good. What won't make him feel good is these two guys could get lined up and make some runs. And 2-on-1 will be a little harder to deal with than 1-on-1.
Scruggs is within half a second now with the race leader. The tough part's going to be, even though he's got pace single car-wise, you still have to make the pass for second and have a chance at the leader.
I mean, I agree with that. You're right. That will be the hard part for Scruggs is making that pass. But put yourself in contention first. Get out there and be eligible to win. And then worry about winning would be the strategy here. Let's look at this pack in the back of this is what I'm trying to say. Those are words hard to put together. That's Daniel Knight, Lewin Dick, and others right here. Nick Silver, Richard Regan, all in this little pack together. Andrew Phipps. They're all struggling and trying to battle for fourth place right now.
Massive credit to Lowendick. He was the only driver in the 33-second bracket last time by, as he's just about done with a pass on Knight for 7th spot. You know who's also done well in the midst of all this for the battle for the race lead up front? Of note, up to the 10th spot again is James Morgan. He was in 21st spot earlier in the run. So a couple comebacks and a couple charges late in this one.
It really feels like in the start of this run that James is not comfortable with that car. He's not comfortable with how it's set up. He apparently wants to be a long run driver. Richard Regan just slapped the wall there. He saw it wiggle a few times. Now 3 wide. That's not where I want to be if I know a driver to slap the wall.
Oh, they nearly slap each other silly with the doors. Ted Lowendick on the bottom, Silver in the middle. Top side still ran by Regan Jr. Does anyone back out of it? 3 wide. No. Regan Jr., if anything, slips up. Lowendick hits the grass. Nick Silver comes up on top.
Beautiful move by Silver there to have the confidence to make that and stick it in there and make it work. Great job there, and they're going to keep battling here. This is not over. This is going to be a very, very tight battle probably for the next 5.5 minutes.
Here's Ted Lowendick from his studio in Sunshine. Sunshine? It's 10:28 Eastern.
I thought Ted was an Ohio native. Am I confused? Like, how does he have daylight?
It's either that or it's a mini fridge. For
I think
Ted
it's a mini
Lowendick,
fridge. Yeah,
he's trying to keep as cool as the mini fridge.
that's a good one.
Right now in the battle for 6th position, in 6th, in fact, behind Silver. Regan Jr., by the way, just hit the wall again. That's why he's now faded fully from this fight behind Knight.
Well, I guess kind of goes to show how important practice is sometimes, JP. We said earlier, Regan told us he's not practiced this much at all. His head is already in Daytona for the 24 hours this weekend. He did not put much thought or effort into this race tonight.
Sometimes it shows. Under 5 minutes to go. Coming up to 8 to go estimated in terms of laps. Lowendick, he wants a top 5. Nearly spins it again alongside Silver. Able to get gathered back up and regroup again in that 72 machine. He's the highest for his respective group. He and Joey Tebben for that organization have shown flashes of speed tonight. Lowendick, like the better of the two late.
Yeah, both of them have done a great job here tonight, as you said, showing off at times and being competitive. Tebben's had a little bit of a rough time with some contact, while Lowendick is still up here competing now. And right now would be 5th per where they are out of this corner. Going to pull up here and, oh man, just barely made the pass. I was not sure he was clear.
Either way, he's up to 5th. Under 4 minutes to go on the clock. About a 7-lap race here. If there's a caution likely done, Lowendick nearly ended his race. His car was pointed in the grass. Able to hold on to it.
And that's one of the most challenging things to do as a race car driver, Justin, is and you know it, is to save a car when it's pointed that way, because there's a lot of finesse it takes about getting off the gas, just kind of gripping the wheel and not moving it and letting it kind of collect itself. If you try to correct the car, you often make it much worse than it was in the first place.
So Lowendick about 2 seconds plus behind, would need some luck to catch up to the leaders. Speaking of those leaders, look at the pylon. It's 2/10 between the top three. Bowie trading lines again. He goes up top, defends Holly. Scruggs tries to run the middle this time. About 5 to go at the stripe. Scruggs takes a peek, still can't get by Holly.
No, still can't get by Holly. Trying his best here. Both these guys
hold
are.
on 1 second. I thought I just heard Bowie say pitting this lap. He's pitting.
Short on gas.
How is he short on gas?
Well, he's been the leader for most of the run, so you have to think if there's anyone who would not have the gas to do it, it would be Bowie. He's led almost the whole run, so he's used more gas. That's surprising. I had not factored in the possibility of someone running out of gas into the end of this race.
How is he short on draft? Draft, I know, is part of this here, but Derek, you can go 60 laps at Atlanta.
I'm guessing he tried to short pit it, thinking that maybe a caution would come out or something. Tried to be cute in his settings, I'm guessing. I don't know. And unfortunately got caught out here with 2 minutes to go. He's given up the lead, and now Bradley Holly looking to secure yet another win.
It's not done yet, though. Scruggs, now he's got a little bit more of a window. Coming up to 3 estimated laps to go. He's still keeping on the bumper. He's taken a few peeks along the 184. Can he make any lunges? Bowie, for reference, he's all the way back to 22nd.
Real quick, by the way, just of note, Joey's having required repairs likely done for this race. So don't need to see that on screen. Just making the note for the people watching the ticker on the left side. He has plummeted down the leaderboard with those required repairs. But here, look at this. Scruggs here now will be digging and searching and hunting and looking for any kind of advantage he can find here. Probably now kicking himself for not making the pass earlier when he could have used Bowie for a little bit of help.
Coming to 2 laps to go. Under a minute to go on the clock this time by. Bowie in range to unlap himself here. And a massive what could have been when it came to that. Keep in mind, there is the potential of the underfuel for tightening the car. Remember, if you take 4 tires and take less fuel, in theory, you can tighten the car if you don't counter. That's why you take fuel with the fixed on the 2 tire. For the drivers who went full fuel load, it's on for the white flag this time by. A 94-lapper from Atlanta comes down to this. Holly and Scruggs. Mile and a half plus to go from Atlanta this time.
There we go. Right now, one last time is what Scruggs going to have. He's going to try to search on the bottom lane here, I'm pretty sure. See if he can dig it in there one last time.
Oh, he's looking.
Probably he's going to try to slide it up here and see if he can squeeze Holly into the wall, but he can't get close enough. Look
Holly nearly spun it. Holly still gained time, though, despite the fact he nearly spun it off the wall. Coming out of 3 and 4. One more chance. Holly carrying more speed up top side. Scruggs looking for a send. Can't get there. He hits the wall. Checker flag. Bradley Holly picks up his first win of the season at Atlanta.
Great run by Bradley Holly. Great run. Waited for something to happen. A circumstance fell his way, and he's added onto that record number of wins.
And a very calm sigh of relief for Holly. His first win of the season. He leads the final 6. Scruggs and Lowendick, the top 3. Phipps and Silver, the top 5. The main question on the radium is pretty clear. What happened to Bowie? You want to hear a crazy thing? Bowie said it was fuel calculator, the issue. I don't know what to say either, Derek.
Yeah, I was listening in to see. I mean, there's no one, actually, weirdly enough, there's no one more upset about it than Bradley Holly. Bradley wanted to race and win and earn this win. He's kind of sad that it sort of got handed to him.
You just said it was fun to battle it out. That's what the communication is. You see with the lips moving in the question to Brandon Bowie. And for Bowie, he ends up finishing 21st in what could be a drop week for the 23. And what could be a major factor for this season's championship.
Yeah, and of course you use that drop weeks term sort of in a weird way because there are no drop weeks, so this will be the lowest point week.
Correct.
Possibly. For
that makes it even worse.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, let's take a look at the top 10 here.
Usually there's a drop if it's 10 races. It's 9 this season. A great point. Speaking of, looking at the results, Hawley, Scruggs, and Lowendick, Phipps and Silver, Knight, Morgan, Westerfield, Gagnon, and Kalen inside your top 10. 11th spot today, Adam Zemke, Richard Regan Jr. in 12th. Evans began Loving. Then Gayer, Smith, McLaughlin, Telez, and Terry Radford, your top 20. Brandon Bowie, a very interesting one. He ends up underfueling the car. And it doesn't work. 21st. Tebben finishes 4 laps down. DNFs with Paul Williams II, down 7. Thomas Sink DNFs along with Bayer, Lane, Cervantes, Evans, Dunkelberger, and Reese Bogue. For entries tonight, Bowie picks up the fastest lap, but a stunner in regards to the battle for the race win, because it's pretty straightforward, Derek. Normally, you don't underfuel the car unless you want a major adjustment to fuel in a fixed setup.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he meant to underfuel the car. I think maybe he was using a fuel calculator that sort of did some math wrong and maybe was estimating based on the pace at the time. So we'll have to see if we can maybe find out what happened. But I think first, you're probably going to catch up with our race winner, I believe.
Yes, indeed. Bradley Hawley, believe, is standing by here. Believe his headset ears are currently off. Let's see if he notices. He hasn't noticed. He does notice. Bradley, you're a winner in 2024. That was a different way to win it, but you still get the win.
Yeah, that was definitely disappointing. I really wanted to fight Brandon on that, but you know, a win is a win. It's, I guess, at some points, but this one doesn't feel nearly as earned.
I will say this in terms of the battle today, as you are on camera, and I'm not sure if you were biting on something or not. And talk about the battle itself. Was it nail biting for you? Was it like it was for us?
In a way, yeah. Like I watched what Brandon did in the first run, and he backed it way off for the first 10-15 laps. So that's what I did, and then started coming, trying to figure out how to pass. We're so close that it's so difficult to get a run. Now, I had a couple, but I didn't. If I would have pushed any harder, I would put either me or him in the wall.
So in turn, a big day in terms of the points, obviously. You pick up a lot of ground on Regan Jr. after he slid back late. So far, you're the only driver to finish in the top 5 as well in every single race. So in that regard, what's your thoughts with the championship now as we get ready for the next stretch of different tracks? It's Nashville next.
I won't be here. I will be down in Daytona enjoying the Rolex 24 Hours with Jeff and a few other guys from Waterback. So championship wise for season 1 doesn't really matter to me. I just want to try to accumulate points for the season long championship and get some wins and try to close the gap between Richard and me from last year.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Bradley. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Bradley Hawley, mad at the pit stop situation for Bowie, it seems. Second spot with the Dustin Scruggs. A top 3 run for Dustin. He gets to talk with Derek.
Dustin, a driver who was sort of up and down the field, or at least up and down the top 5 all day long. At one point, you were with Richard and battling. Then you battled with Brandon, and then finally with Bradley at the end. Wow, like what a surprise ending, right? Like who would have thought that Brandon would be out of gas?
Hey, yeah, that one caught me off guard.
So talk to me about the race. So obviously it looked very slick out there. It looked very loose, looked very aggressive out there. What was your perspective of the race as it went on?
Well, I found out it was the old Atlanta just right before the race, and my first few, yeah, thank you. And my first few laps of practice, I was kind of panicking there for a second, but I pulled it together, got my laps together, got a good pace, and you know, everything else is just stay clean and save some tires. So.
Yeah, it's funny, in our talk before the race, you said, I miss old Atlanta. Well, now I know why. I've been told by Justin Prince, so I have to break some bad news to you. You know that about 6 weeks from now, we're going to New Atlanta, right?
I mean, I don't hate it. It's just this Atlanta has at least some, you know, strategy to it. The new Atlanta is basically, you know, luck.
All right. Well, great job tonight. Are you involved in any racing this weekend? Are you busy all weekend with the 24? Do you have any fun plans?
Man, just got to take care of this baby. So other than that, working around the house and hanging out.
All right. Well, listen, great job tonight, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
That's Dustin Gruns coming away with second. Yes, indeed. You know who came away third? Ted Lowendick came away in third. And I'll just say this. I believe Ted is standing by. Ted, you finished on the podium. How are you feeling? Your mic is muted. That's how excited he is.
There we go. We're good. We're back. Sorry about that. No, really happy about it. Started 26th. I've been a naughty boy the past couple of weeks and causing a couple of accidents. Can't qualify when you do that. But no, that was fun. I like this track. I don't want to go to the new one in 6 weeks. This is a lot of fun.
How bananas was that run through the field today? 26 to third.
Well, you could say it's been a few times I've been around this track, but yeah, it was fun. People were sliding, slapping the wall, sliding, coming off of turn 2, turn 4. You just had to be careful on the throttle and take care of your stuff. I was watching the timing sheet, and I could see that I was catching the leaders there at the end, and I was just like, please give me 5 more laps. But we didn't get them, and but hey, I'll take a podium from 26. That was really fun.
So on that note, I have one question. Is that a mini fridge behind you?
No, it's actually a diecast display. Let's see if I can...
I think our producer zoomed in for us already. Better because it was like we thought it was daylight.
No, it's like an IKEA display case, and then I put some LED strips in it. It looks a lot better when it's not LED out right now, and the camera can't pick it up. But
our camera's picking it up with about a 200 zoom.
All right, perfect.
So have fun drinking some diecast car, I guess, tonight for the top 3.
Thank you, guys.
Ted Lowendick at the top 3, and I'm confused about why you would have a lighter for your diecast car collection for the nighttime, but here we are. In all seriousness, though, what a race, Derek.
Yeah, what a great race. Lots of surprises, lots of twists and turns, lots of interesting moments, beating and banging, and probably a few hot tempers that are still being sorted out.
So in turn, remember the next race for the Grand National Series, we touched upon this, Nashville. It's super speedway. It keeps the theme of staying towards the south to Tennessee. Concrete on a circuit more than a mile. That should be interesting as well, to say the least. That'll be next week, Derek.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. We're gonna get Justin Prince to give as many country music references as we can feed to him.
So once again, you can catch that here on RaceSpotTV. Coverage starts for the Truck Series 8:30, 9:30, the estimated start for the Grand National portion of the card. But on that note, it's time to say goodbye. Once again, for our co-announcer, Derek Watson, for our producer, Hugo Ruiz, I'm Justin Prince, saying so long, enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching RaceSpot for coverage of the PRL and its Truck and Grand National Series from California and Georgia, respectively. Good night from Hotlanta.